Greetings, you beautiful brethren. Welcome to Man's Blackout stream, innit? Today, ladies and gentlemen, it's week 2 of season 17, rounds 3 and 4 of the Blackout Racing League on F1 24. Today, we head to the Jeddah Corniche Pasty Circuit and the Bahrain Bonanza, and it really is a bonanza, as shown by the calendar right now. Obviously, last week, if you haven't watched it, you know, there's a channel out there. It's called KarlsCars. Has all of the Austria and Singapore race. So if you want to go and check that out and subscribe, that'll be great. But today we are heading, obviously, week number 2, 30th of September. It's almost October already. That is quite alarming. But we are here today for a street slobber knocker again in the form of Saudi Arabia, which just inherently breeds chaos. So there you go. You're welcome, Dirk. Good to see you. Sending all the best luck. Oh, I forgot it's almost October as well. Yeah, I know. Listen, this is all the helpful information you get on this channel. But the point is, this week, Saudi Arabia, 35% race. Bahrain, though, is where it gets spicy. Or a bit sweaty. Or perhaps it is actually rain and not sweat, because it is a wet to dry race. And that could prove to be a very interesting one. Obviously, some could say artificially manufactured. I say it's just brilliant. So, I'm going to ignore all of your qualms, and we are going to ignore the good. We're gonna just have a good damn time. Around Saudi Arabia, around Bahrain. It's actually a lot of S's in these first 3 weeks. We got Singapore, Saudi, Spa, Silverstone, Imola, technically San Marino, Mexico, another sprint race. It's not Zandvoort. It's not Sandvoort. It is actually Zandvoort. That's ruined that then, hasn't it? Well, just if you need a brief refresher, ladies and gentlemen, these are what your teams and drivers look like. A whole stacked grid, 20 of the finest blackout racers on the entire planet. Last time out, though, there was only one man that, well, downright dominated proceedings in the Williams car, Thanasi. Got the F2 win and the F2 pole. Also got the F1 pole and the F1 win. So that's an ominous prospect, but I am an optimistic Oscar, and it's going to be a fruitful season with plenty of different names at the top step of the podium. Good evening to you, Pathyman. Good to hear from you. I hope you're doing well. I hope this race bears much fruit for you this week, especially around Saudi Arabia. Who knows what's going to happen? Just a quick plug. I completely forgot to mention it, so I do apologise. But last Friday, I was on the F2 broadcast of the Creator Series. They went round the Azerbaijan Grand Prix track around Baku. It was certainly a well-done Baku job. One of the most chaotic prospects of racing I've ever seen in my life. And indeed, it did turn out to be like that, because the castle section was a Tesco car park. I saw at least 6 people try and Austin Powers their way out of a situation, which was very hilarious, I will admit. But equally, it was It was complete and utter chaos from start to finish. So, you know, what can you do? I am just waiting for the lobby to get set up. I have no idea what's going on. There is also, at this juncture, I have to say, there's a small spider who is dead. And the problem is, if there's a small spider here that has practically perished, there is another one somewhere lurking in the shadows, and I'm not a fan of that. So if you do hear a random vacuum cleaner turn on halfway through the stream, I am just hoovering up the arachnid population in my house. And for good reason, because we cannot have that disrupting the flow of this wonderful broadcast. So there you are. I still have no idea what is happening in terms of a lobby, so I can actually talk about last week a little bit. F2 racing, I think we can all agree, was absolutely wonderful. Just as wonderful as that specimen on your screen made by my lovely husband, Magico. Hello, Stark. I hope you're doing okay. COVID is a bitch. And that's... Well, there you go. I can't join VC because... Oh, Pretender, honestly. Pretender's whole shtick last week was that he had a GP3 engine, and he genuinely did in the F2 race, but today, hopefully that isn't the case, and all is well in the world. J-Lanes in multiplayer, can I join? Yes, I can. I think this is it. Can I actually join the game? Joining session. This is it. I'm going to be in. I'm in! Yes! Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. I almost pressed the wrong button and was about to become a driver. There have been a couple of instances where people have asked me to be a driver again. I've said, now is not the time. I'm in my commentary flow for now, and I'm enjoying it very, very much. But one day, soon down the line, I shall return. Although on this game, I'll probably use controller, because that's what you use for arcade games. COVID sucks, but I thought I'd chat in here. Well, it's good to have you along, my friend. I hope you're dealing with it okay, or as okay as you can, really. It's a pain in the ass. I've definitely had it twice. The first time I knew I had it because I properly tested for it. This time it wasn't like completely compulsory to test for it. But like there's a certain feeling and I knew I had it and I was away on holiday at the time. And I was 110% sure I had it because I went out somewhere on that day and I got to like walking up top, not of a very steep hill, but I walked up to the top of a hill. And it all went directly to the top of my head. And I was like, okay, something's not right. And I was promised, no, it's okay. You're fine. I didn't feel fine. But I'm here today. And it hasn't affected me too much. Although, I don't know, perhaps it explains quite a lot. We are in the lobby. We are just waiting for people to join in. We'll have to also say it's weird seeing Dirkleton from Colombia as opposed to his native Netherlands. However, there is a possibility that's something to do with his offshore account, which of course I can't mention, so I haven't. Who have we got today? That is the real question, ladies and gentlemen, before we jump in to what is going to be a chaotic and complex set of affairs. The answer is we definitely have at least one McLaren. We have a Milo McLaren. We have a Dirkleton Red Bull. We have a J-Lane V-Carb, which I must say they're in a very awkward situation. V-Carb are. And I made a post on Threads about it, but I feel sorry in part to Ricardo, but also to Liam Lawson. Ricardo, because of how they basically strung him along the entire Singapore Grand Prix weekend. And then, well, I mean, it looked like they strung him along, but it affected him badly anyway, so just why not outright say it? Why not outright say, this is your last weekend? We're not going to sugarcoat it, but they didn't do that. So there you go. And Liam Lawson, because it's just a very awkward time in the RB outfit. And he's, like I say, entered it at a very, very, very peculiar phase, which is not ideal for him. And I feel like he gets a lot of stick for something that really wasn't his fault to begin with. Really, if you're going to fire out your rage on anyone, it should be on Mr. Marco, the lazy eye man himself. That's really who you should be directing your fury and aggression towards, but Yeah, feel sorry for the pair of them. Lawson deserves a drive, don't get me wrong. I just don't think Ricciardo was inherently terrible during this year, particularly. Both him and Tsunoda have been given inadequate machinery in order to try and fight at the front with, or fight in Formula 1 with, full stop, realistically. And I would not be at all surprised now if Haas catch and overtake them before the year is up. But there you are. That is just my opinion, obviously. We're all allowed to have opinions unless they're wrong. I'm joking, of course. We are mere moments away from the big fish, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Last season, it was McLaren man Mr. Millo who took top honours in what was a very, very, well, dicey and controversial race at times. Both Mercedes of Mr. Magico and Tim Alele coming to blows with the Red Bull, then, of Thanassi. Sent all three of them into a pirouetting motion, sent Magico spiralling out of the race with emotional and physical damage. And, well, it was a racing recovery for Tim Alele and Thanassi after that. Millo had no such problems. At street circuits, it's exactly what you want. Stay out of trouble. Rule number 1. Keep it out of the walls. Keep it on the black stuff. You don't have to use 100% of your pace 100% of the time, which is exactly what I ignored during my racing season of Blackout, but that's just me. But the point is, good evening, Mr. Sorry, I'm reading the chat. I've lost my train of thought. Good evening, Mr. J Lane. How are you doing, man? Good to hear from you. Why didn't Danny just say, oh yeah, they sacked me? He should have, you know. He genuinely should have, unless he feels like there's prospects for him down the... Oh, do you know what? It doesn't matter at that point. They've got rid of you. They've treated you like rubbish. Say it how it is. We need more of that in this sport. Although one of my highlights from Singapore was Max Verstappen genuinely saying or not saying it how it is. Which in his case was not saying anything at all in the press conference. Absolute highlight. Cracked me up every single time he said a word after Friday. It's brilliant. I love it. The thing is, the people will go, oh, the FIA are rubbish, and well, listen, history will tell us the FIA has always been pretty rubbish. If 2021 people almost had a meltdown, they would have gone into an induced coma in 1989 after Senna and Prost's accident at the Japanese Grand Prix. There would be no fan base left because they would all have had coronaries. And that's not a joke. I genuinely believe that. But anywho, I was going to say we're waiting for Pretender. We're not waiting for Pretender at all. He's actually in the lobby. So I've no idea who we're waiting for, but we are waiting for somebody. Who put a thumbs up? I'm going to tell you who put a thumbs up in the name and shame. I know Terziak isn't here this week. Neither is Stanasi or Tim Alele. This is the single greatest opportunity for any one of our wonderful drivers today to pick up maybe an elusive win, maybe an elusive podium. Who knows? Last week, it was Magico that fought to the front of that fairy tale, picking up a third place in the first F2 race. First race of the season, full stop, but also the first F2 race in Blackout since, I believe, in real season terms, forever. But don't quote me on that. At least when I've been starting commentating, there hasn't been a single F2 race. But there you go. F1 got worse after Charlie Whiting died. I don't know what made me think that. Honestly, you're probably not wrong. You are actually probably not wrong. The FIA has never been perfect by any means, but when Charlie Whiting was at the helm, it was as close to perfect as it was ever going to get. Really. Michael Mouse was just terrible, and now they haven't got a hang of it at all. So, you know, it's disappointing because it doesn't feel like, at times it feels like it's more about the show and the entertainment factor rather than the actual racing element. Like I said in last week's broadcast after the Singapore Grand Prix had happened, where basically one of the questions in the press conference was, I can't remember if I talked about it now, but one of the questions in the after-race press conference was, did the new DRS zone hope should more be done at street circuits to help overtaking? And really that kind of extends to any track in a way, but also it's a non-question, because surely half the point of motor racing is that it's difficult to overtake. You are supposed to put the car in front under pressure. You are supposed to force them into a mistake. You're supposed to use your pace better than they can use their pace and ultimately make the move for yourself at the end of the day. Again, just my opinion, but I feel like it should be easier to make overtaking happen at tracks, which if it's Monaco, yes, it should be. But, like, on other tracks, half the time, I mean, yes, it's very difficult to overtake, etc., blah, 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 blah. You know what the ultimate solution would be, which they will never do, is probably reintroduce refueling. That is probably what they should do. And make the tyres last longer than about 2 kilometers. Mainly refueling, though. Anyone here, everyone here probably remembers the refueling days. What days those were, honestly. Oh, what race was it? It's France, 2004, where Alonso got pole and Ferrari basically did them on strategy. I think it was it a 3 or a 4 stop race? I think it might have been a 4 stop race that Michael Schumacher did. And they did a splash and dash in the last pit stop. Basically, fresh rubber, no fuel in the car, just banzai it to the end, and it was brilliant. Should be much safer now. I would intend to agree. 4 stop strat, I thought it was. Yeah, 4 stop strats. The only way you ever get them nowadays is with, like, well, whether it's a billion safety cars or with red flags sort of artificially inflating the pit stop statistics. 4 stop strategy, though. What a time that was. Honestly. Back in the day, Ferrari and Schumi were a goated combination. In the refueling era. Can I just say as well, you know who the last... I was going to say, you know who the last champion of the refueling era... You know who the penultimate champion of the refueling era was? It was Sir Lewis Hamilton. And here he is now, still to this day, in this season, winning Grand Prix. Despite the absolute canoe that Mercedes have given him. I bet he's secretly now very glad he gets to go to Ferrari. I'm going to need you to do 30 qualifying laps back-to-back. Yes, exactly. Hungary 1998. F1, actually, F1 was such a better sport. I try not to... Okay, no, I won't look for rose-tinted spectacles. Some aspects of it are still really good. If not, obviously, safety element is obviously a lot better. And I think in terms of the overall scope of the grid, once you factor in Franco Colapinto now, I think actually the overall delta between drivers has really narrowed. But, like, if you're talking purely based on what Formula 1 is about, the best drivers in the best sounding, best looking, best strategic era of cars, like, you can't really go wrong then with that kind of era. Although it still holds a very special place in my heart as Formula 1. We are taking a minute to get started. Although I've just said that, it's now time to get started. 20 seconds to go until short qualifying at the Cornflake Spoon Grand Prix. Which, if you haven't seen the track layout, and you're like, why the hell are you calling it a Cornflake Spoon? Then, well, you probably would have a look at it now and you'll understand what I mean. Thank you, Pretender, for following. I love you very much. Welcome along to all the chaos. And you are part of that chaos, because we are heading into a sensational Saudi Arabian slice and dice. Because that's probably what it will be. Stark makes a very good point as well, in terms of saying that the best solution for street circuits is to get rid of them entirely. Which I agree with, but unfortunately with Madrid just around the corner. Like, really, are we going from the Circuit de Catalunya? I know it's not a great track for a lot of people, but are we really going to accept going from the Circuit de Catalunya to a Madrid street circuit? Is that the level we're at? I don't know, honestly. Several of you here, welcome along, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the first race of the evening. How about that? And not only that, it's actually a qualifying session, so it's not the first race of the evening, but it will decide proceedings for the main event here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. Last time out, Thanasi, it was double trouble. Both races won. Fastest laps to boot. Pole positions to boot. Today, he's not here. Most of the main top contenders, the heavy hitters, are not here at all. So, the big opportunity for someone to take a huge number of points, maybe that elusive win or podium, could come today. On board with Mr. Pathiman then, but out of the pits first, actually, was the lean green machine of Maximus. In the Stake Kick Sauber Gristle Calf F1 team, there's already a yellow flag, and Dirkleton has had an issue in the runoff. He's just having a nice wave to the crowd there, saying thank you to the fans. Interesting, because he's Dutch, and I thought all Dutch people hate Lewis Hamilton. That was a joke, don't cancel me. Right, Maximus. The luck of the Irish. What can he bring to the forefront? Basically everybody out on the track for their first laps of the day. The only one who's remaining in the pit lane, possibly the only other main heavy hitter other than Milo that has remained today, it's Mr. Jamble Tarquin. Hasn't gone out onto the track, perhaps avoiding the early qualifying rush, waiting for the track to evolve and whatnot, and then going from there. Good luck, drivers, and to me, thank you, Raiden. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Hopefully we'll see you racing in Blackout sometime soon, once again, then. Sock says you better all not disappoint me and cause some chaos. Well, lads, today's that time. Now is the moment to fulfill that particular request. On board with the kick Sauber of Maximus, though, towards turn number 1 with the worst engine sound I've ever heard in my life. Out of turns 1 and 2, it's nicely done. And it's hurtling towards the left-hander, brake at about 50 metres, flick the car in. The car will absolutely stick. It's built of Gorilla Glue as opposed to the previous year's F1 cars, which actually had aerodynamics built into them. This year, though, it is just underflooring vibes. Underneath Mick Schumacher's cruises towards the sweeping left-hander. A little bit of camber on the inside, breaking through there. There's another yellow flag. Someone's had a moment. Buck 57's had a moment. We're going to have to curtail proceedings quickly because it looks like he's had a little bit of a biff into Barrier. Actually, no, he keeps going. Has avoided the nose job, which would leave Lord Voldemort very impressed. Someone else is off. Pretender's off. He's into the runoff. Hasn't invalidated his lap, but it has certainly caused him much emotional damage. Purple Sector 2 for Maximus then, courtesy of the fact he is the only one on the track. But hugging the inside line, the line of narrowest distance, of least resistance, towards the final corner. Where do you brake? Slam on the anchors about 75 metres out, maybe even a bit later as well, for extra effect. Unleash the car down the final straight. Nice sponsor. Towards the line for the first time in qualifying, a 1 minute 30.243. However, we have other hungry sharks waiting to pounce. Pure Tyrrek across the line for a 1 minute 29.1. And Aston Martin next. And it's a 1:31.2 for the big swimmer. Pathiman next across the line, although it will be to start another lap because he invalidated. Mercedes of Magico across the line for a 1:32.0. Milo not too far off the front running pace. Only 2/10 off Pure Tyrrek in the Alpine. Slam exiting the pit lane. Meanwhile, Pretender is a 1:41.6. You're washed. Holy mother. But don't worry, he's on for another lap. It's time to rectify that particular statement. Vulcan's coming through the final corner, as has J-Lane across the line into P3. Nice little start there. Buck 57 recovers from his last corner escapade on the previous lap and gets overtaken by Vulcan by just over a 1/10 of a second. A 1 minute 30.8. And the V-Carbs 3rd and 5th at the moment. They can be pretty happy about that. Pathiman, I believe the only one really out on a massive flying lap other than Pretender. He will be the first across the line. And Buck 20 didn't listen to me last time, so I'm going to give Pathiman the same advice I gave Buck 20 last time. Use overtake. Use the overtake button. Maybe you actually can't, and I'm just being an idiot. But I'd say use the overtake button personally. Through the final corner, he's hit the inside wall. Nearly biffed the outside wall for good measure. Dirkleton's had a huge problem. He's in the pit lane because he's just left the session. But that's not really important. Well, Patherman's perler of a lap comes to an end. It's now up to Pretender to cross the line and put in a representative time. He's actually using overtake mode. He's listening to my calls, and that puts him into 4th place. See, if you listen to what I'm saying, you reap the rewards, and they are rapturous. 4th place for Pretender, the American dream, for the time being. What's Slam up to, though? He's through the first couple of corners, and Pretender, instead of looking in front of him, looks behind him, heads to say hello to the crowd, as Slam says hello to the apex of turns. I don't even know what corners they are at this point. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, I think. Goodness gracious me. Charging down towards the left-hander again. Already been on board with one kick Sauber at this corner. Here's the other one, though. Slam going through there in 3rd gear. Little bit of oscillation on the rev range as he comes out of the corner. Dirkleton's rejoined the session. The Red Bulls have got to get a move on, although there is still 11 minutes left of this qualifying session. Provisional pole man, Pure Tyrrek then. 96, the amount of pole positions he's currently garnered up in F1 24. And our resident PlayStation man. Look at that. The war of the consoles. It could be an Xbox versus PlayStation situ if Jamie Tarquin gets his act together. Meanwhile, hugging the inside wall, it is Mr. Slam. Hopefully not doing his namesake and doing that into the barrier. Hugging the final corner, though, and hurtling down the pit straight. Foot to the floor, and then finally, towards the line we go. It's still a 130.1, despite not the cleanest set of affairs. A little bit of a slidey sensation. Slam has put himself up into the top 5. Plenty of people back out on laps, though, one of which is Vulcan. Buck57, I believe, was out on one as well, but he's got well out of the way. He's even on the medium tyres, the little sweat. But over to the line goes Vulcan. He's used every ounce of battery, and it is a marginal improvement. A 1 minute 30.6. Perhaps not as much as he would have initially hoped. J-Lane across the line then. Unfortunately for him, he cannot improve. That is not very good news for him, although possibly going for another run of things. No, he's not. His battery is charging. Forget what I said. Pretender, though, I believe might even have crossed the line to finish another lap. Unfortunately, tyres are completely shredded, and so has to settle for his previous position, although we've got 4 people, actually 5 people, on outlaps behind. One of which was Mr. Pathyman. One of which is Mr. Pathyman. It's Magico dancing and darting his way through the first 2 corners in the Silver Arrows car. Looking to make an impression higher than P10. Full commitment through that left-hander, pushing the limits of it. Magico was a standout performer for me last time out. Got the podium, of course, in F2. P7 in Singapore. And looks like the graft to get no assists working. The pain he endured last season is churning into pleasure, and he's a second up already in the first sector. Just by running no assists constantly. It is a struggle at first. You have to slug through it. However, the feeling of it afterwards, the sensations, is superb. You cannot beat it. Nothing more satisfying than being able to hook up a no assist lap, nay, let alone that, make that a no assist race to boot, and that's exactly what he has been able to do. Apart from racing line, I think, but you know what, I'll let him off on that one. DRS open, hugging the inside. How much battery has he used? I can't actually tell, but it looks like there is a tiny bit left as he heads down towards the final corner. DRS open for my darling husband. Was initially wedded to P10, but let's see where the betrothal takes him this time. Across the line for P4 for Mr. Magico. That is so much more like it. And his ultimate conquest for the higher spots very much continues. Loads and loads of people on laps, one of which is Pure Tyrrek. Almost breached the 1 minute 29 barrier, good grief. Kicking the rear end out, hugely unstable, but gabs it up with an armful of power. And it means he puts himself up by just under 0.4 of a second into the 1 minute 28 for the Alpine driver. And I'm seeing a bit of deja vu. A console man in an Alpine, his first race of the season, getting pole position in an Alpine. I feel like I've repeated that, but it just seems a little bit familiar. Red Bull are on the move, though. What's Jamie Tarquin and Dirkleton up to? The answer is going through the final corner. Dirkleton, is he the oracle of this F1 grid? He's hugging the inside line as much as he possibly can. It is P8 for Mr. Dirkleton. Very nicely done. What could his teammate muster up, though? DRS all the way across the line, and he is not far off. Pure Tyrrell. I told you, it's the battle of the console boys up at the front. Unless Maximus has something to do with it. He puts himself up into P3. It's not a bad showing. Maybe Mr. Pathyman can as well, although he's just started an actual flying lap in this session. Magico peeling into the pits, as I would have suspected. It's Mr. Millo, though, looking to make proper moves. Marvellous showing so far. Can he break into the 1 minute 28? It's so close. It is so close. But it is 92 thousandths off the 1 minute 28 barrier. But it is still P3, and that's very good. Big swimmer. Where's he breaststroking his way to? Which in this country probably gets you executed. But it's a 1 minute 30.666, and you know what? That phrase warranted that particular time. Well, so much so, he's actually been beaten and pipped to the post by Buck57, who's decided to go nice and juicy on that particular endeavour. That's what's happened. Why is this default anyway? Where's Pathyman? He's invalidated his lap time. That's what's happened. Lots of action in the chat. There were two kick Saubers side by side. There was a lovely show of solidarity from the green machines. Although only briefly. Maximus has broken away from Slam. Although he's on an outlap. And looking to set one of his final times of the session. The new Jeddah. The new Jeddah circuit is so bad. I remember a Fernando Alonso's Instagram post where he basically said, look at this, the pinnacle of Saudi Arabian motorsport. And I was like, do you know what? The man's accepted a fat paycheck and I rate him for it. But you cannot seriously say with a straight face that that is going to be a good venue for racing in Formula One. When someone gets injured on that, I think they'll have spinal compression after that. And that's putting it nicely. Into the pits, Millo must go. E-I-E-I-E-I-O. Slam round the final corner, though. And he's ready to sumptuously sidewind his way. Oh no! Pretender's been disqualified from the qualifying session for going the wrong way. And that slams him down to the back of the grid. Which means for Slam, it's a free position. And he says, thank you very much. That's lovely. He's like, I'll absolutely take that. And even more so, he's going to try and build upon that momentum. Basically, you can... Yeah, it's just full throttle commitment all the way through. No one lifting off. You can't feel what the car's doing, but the car does it anyway. Pretender... Okay, right, here's what's happened, ladies and gentlemen. The triple threat. Pretender has not only disqualified himself from the session, he's then retired from the session and has left the session. All in the space of about a minute. Next try. The problem... I think there is somewhere. On board with Slam then into second 3. And he's hang on, wait a minute. Slam's cooking. He's purple through sector 2. Someone's got their commitment up to the highest levels. He has ascended the ladder of what it is to lavishly and luxuriously hurtle your way around the Jeddah Corniche Pasty Circuit, the Cornflake Sport Spoon Grand Prix, the one I'm not going to say at the moment, but Slam across the line. Does he penetrate pole position? He is back next to his Kick Sauber teammate. And if that isn't a show of simple solidarity, I don't know what is. That is lovely. Oh. There's a lot of things I think I've already said that would get me shadow banned by the certain Middle Eastern oil government. The breaststroke thing and the execution thing was probably enough in itself, but I feel like we're feel like we're breaking new ground and pushing the boundaries every day. And that's what we aim to do here in the Blackout broadcast, as we now arrive at someone else who breaks and blunders boundaries sometimes. It's Dirkleton. And, oh, there's an Alpine getting in the way. That's not going to please Dirkleton even slightly. Who was that? It wasn't Pathyman. It was our current pole sitter. You don't want to get in the way of one of the admins. He's going to be gesticulating furiously in the direction of the Alpine car, which, well, I mean, he's only lost half a tenth from it, so I doubt he's going to be that disgruntled at the end of the day. Oh, his force feedback stopped working. Ah. Codemasters, what a game. Through the right and left-hander, we've got Big Sam crossing the line. He's gone something like half a second faster somehow, although he's still got more battery and he's going to go again. Buck 57 crosses the line to begin quite possibly his final lap of the session. There is a Mercedes of Magico getting well out of the way of... No, he isn't. That's a kick Sauber. Why the hell did I think that was a Mercedes? Magico's hurtling his way round this track. Dirkleton is hurtling his way through to the end of the lap, as is this man. One Alpine on pole position, the other one looking to make amends. Across the line for Pathyman, he is in the top 10. It's P9 for the moment. Here's Dirkleton, though, trying to make his way up, and he does. 2 temps up, into P8 he goes. And now the times can begin to tumble. Mr. Magico round the final corner across the line goes current pole sitter Pure Tyrrell in order to get another pole position time possibly on the table. Magico with a marginal improvement, a very solid qualifying session, but that will be all she wrote here in Saudi Arabia. Who am I kidding? Women aren't allowed to write in Saudi Arabia. Back to the main news of the day though. Jamie Tarquin has just started his final flying lap of the session. Meanwhile, here's someone who's just ending their final flying lap. Number 7 in the green machine in Saudi Arabia. Big Sam 229 as he crosses the line. More like Big Sue. Oh, it's P8. It's not that bad, actually. It's P8. And in good news for him, he's ahead of 4 other cars. And that is Will Buxton facts right there. Buck 57, though, has come good. So Big Sam's only beaten 3 cars now on the timing screens. Let's see what the battle for pole is looking like, though. Millo at the moment only 600ths up, but it could be more as he powers on towards the line. It's still not into the 1 minute 28. It's so close, but it will be a solid P3 right up until the moment J-Lane came along with a 128.868. That is almightily close to being the proper pole time, but not to be. Can Pure Tyrrell, though, improve on what has already been an interstellar display? Oh, yes, he can. That is phenomenal work from the Alpine driver. And I'm experiencing some deja vu from not 2 seasons ago. What a time. What a time that was. Can Jamie Tarquin find the improvements? He's only got a corner and a straight to do it. He can't. That will do it. That is it. Qualifying is done and dusted, and your pole sitter, for the first time in a very long time, belongs to an Alpine. It belongs to Pure Tyrrell 96, who now can change his number to 97 because he's just got himself another pole position. So that's pretty incredible, isn't it? Well, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That will pretty much do it for the grid. And because the game doesn't like showing me the results, I'm going to look through them right now. Never mind, no, I am not. But there's your pole sitter. The Alpine man with a plan. Not in a van. The Alpine's much faster than that inside the game. Pole position, then, for the man who's based all around the world. That is quite something. Jamie Tarquin, P2, 6/10 of a second off. J-Lane, P3, Millo, 4th. The Kick Saubers in 5th and 6th. Buck 57 in 7th, Pathyman 8th, Magico 9th, and Vulcan 10th, with the Big Swimmer, the Dirkleton, and the Pretender rounding out our grid lineup. Well, there you go. First session done of the day. The shootout is complete. And now, we're going to have a little nap before race day. Wake up, it's race day. We are here. It's Saudi Arabia. It's going to be sweaty, spicy, and all things in the sauce department. Because crashes here are going to flow like the blood plasma of Christ, also known as water. Awaiting in the pit lane. There's no paddock club here in Saudi Arabia. And because oh no, there is. They're at the top. They've actually let women in the paddock club. Sorry, how many times am I going to say that about Saudi Arabia? The point is, they're all having a great time. All 4 of them at the top there. That's fantastic. Oh, someone called Operative Sheet, which almost sounds like an insult, says best viewers on zoxy.shop/9volt. Now, I don't know about you, but a URL that says zoxy.shop sounds very trustworthy. There you go. It's a coding mistake in the paddock club. Ladies and gentlemen,
the formation lap gets underway, and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead,
it's a
making sure their car is
lap.
ready for the battle once the lights go out.
Alex Chase, can you shut up, man? This is my commentary. What are you doing? Look at the tyres, though, ladies and gentlemen. We can actually see what strategy is unfolding in front of us. We know that was a coding... yeah, it was. Exactly.
As the cars come back to the grid to line up for the start of the race, each driver will be wanting to get the best start they possibly can. And they'll be hoping to finish today's race on the podium, failing that within the points.
But our pole sitter lines up on the grid. A good mixture of medium and soft runners. And then we have one person who has dared to dream on the hard compound tyres. So this could be very interesting. We have an Alpine, a Red Bull, a V-Carb, a McLaren, 2 Kick Saubers on the 3rd row. It's going to be absolutely awesome fun. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 5 red lights for Saudi Arabia. Lights out and away we go, and it looks like a great start on the soft tyres for Jamie Tarquin. The battle of the console overlords, and into turn 1, the Red Bull man holds the outside line on the softer rubber and is through into the lead of the Saudi Arabian slobber knocker. Milo, meanwhile, against J-Lane, contact made on the outside briefly, but Milo robustly makes his way through into P3. Behind them, everyone makes it through safely as Dirkleton goes up into P10. It's Big Swimmer who was bold enough to go on the hards. Vulcan's down to P12. Pretender, though, all over the back of him, albeit making up his own track as he goes along, but is up into P12 for the moment, although conceding position. Jamie Tarquin then leaves half a second's worth of gap between him and Pure Tyrrell. Milo P3, J-Lane in 4th, hot on his heels, though. Both of them on the soft compound tyres, and Jamie Tarquin has to make this count while he can. Not using too much battery at the moment. Neither is Pure Tyrrell. Again, some other parallels with a certain Alpine driver who started out season 15 in Imola. Lost the lead on the first lap, but managed to hustle and harry his way back into that lead, and then bottled it with a few laps to go. Hopefully that doesn't happen to him, but like there's not too many parallels going on at the moment. Buck 57 was sort of compromised behind Pathiman. Magico's all over him, trying to go round the outside. That's bold, it's too bold. He's almost spun it into barrier. Manages to catch the car extremely well, but that will do nothing to help his confidence, which has now plummeted. And he now has to, well, the climb is always slower than the fall, and he has to try and regain that composure, that collectedness all over again. Buck 57, by the way, with front wing damage. Look at that on the left. No end plate. It's got the downforce of my gerbil, and he's dead. Back up at the front. J-Lane all over the back of Milo. Meanwhile, there's a switch between the kicked Sauber cars as Maximus has had a huge slide. Pathiman's taken avoiding action, has overtaken him, and now it's going to be almost 3 wide into the left-hander. Pathiman's had to ship 4 positions inadvertently. He was just trying to let Maximus back through after overtaking him off the track, but it is pain for Pathiman, who has plummeted down to 10th. Jamie Tarquin holding the lead, but for how long? And actually, how long does Milo have P3 in the bag? As, oh no, Vulcan's had a moment. He's Austin Powersing his way through. And Pure Tyrrell already has a time penalty for track limits. Although has decided, I've had enough, I'm coming through. Uses a bit of the battery and is on the outside of Jamie Tarquin. That's probably not a place I'd want to be. But Jamie Tarquin rather sensibly holds fire and gets back in the slipstream. Actually, it compromises Tirik's line through the final corner. A very intelligent piece of racecraft there from Jamie Tarquin, and he's going to reap the rewards of it, as down the inside he goes again, with the helping hand of the one-lap DRS enable notification and timing, but he's up into the lead again of this race. Buck 57 not done with racing the drivers behind, despite the front wing damage, putting up one hell of a scrap, and now Pathyman's lost a position to Dirkleton, just from his compromised momentum, being stuck behind the Williams car. Jamie's, oh my, pure Tirik, has he just gone round the outside of Jamie Tarquin in that winding section? That is unbelievable. What a move from the Alpine driver, and now Jamie Tarquin's got more to worry about than just the lead of the race. And Milo Minso is behind him. J-Lane Jehovah. And oh my goodness me, Pure Tirik's had a moment, a big moment. The camera car for the worst possible point might well have made contact with the barrier, and well, barrier was actually quite kind to him. No front wing damage. J-Lane's up to P3. Milo's had a moment of his own in sympathy and solidarity, but he can't afford to do that anymore. He's got to screw his head back on and get on with the job. J-Lane, though, is trying to do a job to the two ahead of him. Pure Tirik trying to get through in the slipstream. J-Lane thought about looking to the inside, actually will look to the inside of the Alpine driver. Down the inside he goes. Side by side between the two of them. Leaves the space, lads. Good grief. Could get very saucy indeed. J-Lane using the slipstream from Jamie Tarquin as a bit of assistance. Could look for a dastardly dive into turn one, but instead is going to use Jamie Tarquin just to box the Alpine driver. A bit of contact through turn number two. Good grief almighty. But J-Lane does, in the end, hold P2 down. What a start to this race then, and it's only set to get better. Maximus has not had things go his own way at the moment. He's not got front wing damage. Here's someone that has, though, in the form of Buck 57. Despite that, down the inside he goes, using one of the Williams sisters to flaunt his way through with finesse into P6, and away the Williams driver goes. But the DRS trains, we know how notoriously powerful they can be, and so it shall prove once again. Does Tirik dare to go for a move? Surely not. It's wiser to hold back, and they both have a head. Milo's got a front row seat to disaster in case Jamie Tarquin goes wide. How on earth was there not sandwich contact there? I have no idea. But quick as a flash, Tirik from P3 ascends back up into the lead of the race. For Alpine, round the outside goes Milo in the final corner. I can hardly keep up. He slid out of the final corner. J-Lane's going for a move on Mr. Jamie Tarquin. Slab's catching up to the whole four of them as this goes on. As Buck 57 goes down to P8. Dirkleton in the slipstream of Maximus towards turn number one. Go on, go for ascend. Oh, that's sad. Lap number 5, this race has gone by extremely quickly, and Jamie Tarquin very nervous on the rear end. Tirik's taken the lead. J-Lane's about to retake P2. Pretender's had a moment. He's in the wall. Safety car out. And that really changes the complexion of the race. What looked to be a DRS train battle to the death. Looks like they're all going to have to, well, I was going to say hold their cards close to their chest, but there's no card holding to be done. They're all just going to have to pit right now, get the fresh set of tyres on, and go to the end from there. If you're on the mediums and you're on the hard tyres, actually probably not that bad, because you showed that actually having the compound harder wasn't that much of a hindrance. So that's not too bad. Soft tyre runners will also be pretty pleased that they could keep up with the mediums after the 5 laps. So it's not all bad at all. Into the pits we go. Up at the front, a sensational dynamic is developing, because while Pure Tirik is, well, really showing his speed early on, which is great to see, he does have that 3-second time penalty. And again, in another parallel, a time penalty in his first race. In fact, the next parallel would be if he sped into the pit lane at a rancid rate of knots and gave himself a 5-second time penalty. He does have pit assist on though, so that hasn't happened. Well, you know, we can't all have parallels. Slam leads the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's an unbelievable time for the Kick Sauber team, and Big Swimmer moves up into P2. Apart from that, basically everyone else pits. And I mean everyone. It's not even close. Tyrrell's going to rejoin on the hard tyres out first. J-Lane goes off the track, but manages to regain it before Jamie Tarquin snuffs that opportunity out and ascends up the positions. So he remains provisional P2 for the time being when pit stops have played out. Then it's Jamie Tarquin, provisional P3, Milo 4th, Maximus in 5th, Dirkleton 6th, Magico, provisional P7, very nicely done, sir. Buck 57 in P8, Pathiman 9th, Pretender in 10th, with Mr. Vulcan rounding out our lineup when Slam and Big Sam go into the pit lane. Then, well, let's put it this way, it's just going to be very spicy, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, time penalty for Pure Turret for track limits. It means at the moment, based on current form, any one of J-Lane, Jamie Tarquin or Milo could win this race. Absolutely they could. And they've just got to keep it together. You can't afford to squabble with each other too much, lose each other too much time to the car ahead. Because once they break out, once they have that little bit of a window just to push while you are fighting amongst yourselves in fisticuffs, then it just enables them to grow that confidence even more. The snowball effect continues to build, and then before you know it, you're in a 3-car train and there's 1 car out in front dominating proceedings. While we're in this safety car then, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix last season, like I say, it was Mr. Milo that took the win. He was the one that kept his nose clean, kept it away from the walls more than anyone else, and everyone else paid the price for being overzealous. Well, the majority of the grid did anyway. Milo kept his cool and kept his grip at that point on the championship lead on F1 23. However, it is our first foray on F1 24 at the Saudi Arabian street circuit. There's a limit of 3 and 35% races in terms of safety cars, but Codemasters made the game, so yeah, well, quite, exactly. I don't trust anything. Because I thought the limit went down one year in 50% races. I thought the limit was supposed to be 5, and I could have sworn I got 6 one time in a race I was commentating once upon a time. Which was just great fun. My favourite. Really enjoyed it. It was Milo that took the win, though, here in Saudi Arabia last season. Like I say, the season before that, it was not me. It was not me that won. It was, in fact, Terziak that won. The Flying Scotch Egg took the win. As I was pushing to try and take the win from him, I slid out the last corner and shipped P2 to Thanasi. Not ideal, but you live and you learn. And at the end of the day, you know, we came back stronger in wherever it was we went to next, which I can't remember where we went. But I won the next 2 races after that. So that was fun. I actually need to re-watch back through my season when I get the chance, which is a fun thing for you all to look forward to. But at the moment, Slam is leading us under safety car conditions almost halfway through the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Big Swimmer 2nd, Tyrrell in 3rd will be the provisional leader once all is said and done and everybody peels into the pit lane. Those being Slam and Big Sam. 229, which is the amount of kilometres an hour that Kick Sauber can actually go at top speed in real life. Safety car in this lap. Oh, yes. Let him cook. We are about to get back underway for racing in the Blackout Racing League on F1 24. Safety car almost in the pit lane at this point. So, Slam, if you're listening, safety car's just peeled into the pit lane now. Go, Slam on the power. No one will know. Never mind. I thought he could hear me. He can't, clearly. Big Sam, though, is waiting and watching closely in order to find out when Slam drops anchor, puts his foot to the floor. I'm sure it'll be soon, because mostly because he has no choice. Now he does, though, and it's a decent restart, and we are back underway for racing here in Blackout, and J-Lane has got a good restart. Over the line they go, round the outside at turn number 1 to take the provisional lead of the race. Contact made Tyrrell's round. Tyrrell's been spun round. J-Lane was ahead on the outside, but Tyrrell, after such a promising starting phase to the Grand Prix, is now plumb last in his Alpine machine. J-Lane in the V-Carb has the provisional lead of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, but now has to get past the moving chicane for him. That's Big Sam, although a 3-second time penalty will not do him any favours, and Jamie Tarquin has caught up in that as well. He's in P12. What on earth's going to happen the rest of this race? I have no idea. 0 front wing end plate on the right-hand side for Jamie Tarquin, as Vulcan's had an issue of his own somewhere. Now the gap's just opening up, I have no idea. Magico, though, looks like he could be the man on the move. J-Lane's past the moving chicane. Jamie Tarquin's got a 3-second time penalty. Tick them off the list one by one. I can hardly keep up, but now the V-Carb has to get on the move and is in hot pursuit of the green Stabilo car ahead. And Big Sam, well, he's basically got out of the way of Milo. Gone way off the racing line. Milo actually, well, his line compromised through the final corner anyway. Maximus with significantly fresher rubber on his wagon gets a superb exit out of the final corner. DRS enabled. Through goes Maximus, not only on Big Sam, possibly on Milo as well if he's feeling brave, but not brave enough. It is P4, provisionally though, when penalties and whatnot are taken into account. P2 for the Kick Sauber man. Jamie Tarquin into the pits, and it really is what could have been for the Red Bull driver. You do have to feel for him. It's a horrible scenario. Thought he could have had a chance to sign seal and completely deliver this race first class, but that has not happened whatsoever. Most definitely caught up in Tyrrell's spin and the incident between him and J-Lane. But that's no consolation. He is plumb last. He will at least go for the fastest lap point, so that's something. Vulcan's had an issue. Front wing gone. It's a disaster. I say front wing gone. It's the end plate's gone, but it is a trip to Barrier, who slaps him across the chops and says, "No, sir, take me out for dinner first." Dirkleton and Buck 57 going for battling. No. Was it wise to go for the move through there, though? Well, Pathiman's going around the outside of Buck 57. That's a lovely opportunistic move with marvellous momentum. And he's going to continue racking up the moves as through he goes on Dirkleton. One Alpine in the doldrums. The other one, it's delightful news for him as we have a new leader of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's none other than J-Lane in the Visa Cash App car. As Milo and Slam go side by side, it's exactly what Milo doesn't want in the context of his race. Now Maximus will be on the phone saying, "Look, teammate, if you want a good result for our team this race, you better get out of the bloody way." I don't know why Maximus has turned northern instead of Irish, but we'll ignore that for a second. The point is, he'll want ample track time, and with a slide and a snap like that, surely the writing is on the wall for Slam. At least you think it would be, but apparently not. Oh my, never mind. Maximus is a teleporting alien, and down the inside he goes, using his tractor beam in order to make his way through into P3, but already outside of the DRS range of the McLaren man up ahead. Pathiman looks to try and get outside of a second of Dirkleton behind. Done a decent job of it so far, but it's not a job done well enough. He's just praying to get within DRS range of Big Swimmer. Though Dirkleton's not really staying within DRS range here. Very interestingly, through the chicane rather, there you go. The gap's still at 9/10 of a second. Pathiman has got a little bit of slipstream assistance, but also is able to dip, crucially, within a second by the next DRS zone, and that is going to save his bacon, providing he stays within a second, and I've not just jinxed him. It will help him out a great deal. DRS assistance. Through he goes. Vulcan is having an absolutely torrid time into Barrier once again. And with half a front wing, I'll be honest, I'm hardly surprised. Oh no, Maximus is out. Maximus is out of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Front left sheared off. And what on earth has he done? He must have spun. But that again changes things because it's another safety car. And it's devastation for Maximus. I have to feel for him. He was right in the midst of a crucial battle for the lead. But now, it has all moulded into nothing. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Pathiman will be like, oh my god, I can win this. Pure Tyrrell, by the way, is back up into P7. Good grief. Like I say, reminds me of another Alpine driver I used to know. And his name was indeed Magico. Thank you for asking. And that's because Magico has front wing damage. He's had to limit himself in order to make the competition slightly more difficult for him. Probably. Big Sam will have to pit, surely. I mean, there's no other alternative. If he wants to take good things away from this race, he will certainly have to pit. There is no other option. Slam rejoined in P10, although he was under green flag running for just a little bit of time. So will it mean Big Swimmer can actually get ahead of Slam in the pit window, as Vulcan has only just passed the corpse that was Maximus's Kick Sauber car? But into the pits comes Big Swimmer, and for that matter, in comes Pathiman, in comes Dirkleton. Tyrrell stays out. In fact, I'd probably say, well, never mind. Most of the grid have stayed out on that particular... come in, rather, on that particular occasion. Lag led to me... Oh, no. Codemasters, you got blood on your hands, mate. Slams up into P4, ladies and gentlemen. It's not over yet. And with fresh soft tyres, not only for Slam, but also for Big Sam, could we be about to see the biggest coup in the final laps of this Grand Prix of all time? Could we possibly see a Kick Sauber of Slam, or an Aston Martin of Big Sam, or an Alpine of Pathiman taking the top honours in this race? It is entirely possible. J-Lane and co behind, though, just have to keep their cool. So does Milo, for that matter. Milo, the only one of the top three not to have penalties. If he gets ahead of J-Lane and manages to stay ahead of the cars behind on the soft tyres, providing they don't get penalties, of course. By the way, if he does manage to stay ahead of them regardless, he will be today's winner. It will be twice in a row, twice in 2 seasons, that Milo takes Saudi Arabian Grand Prix top honours. But that is providing he does stay ahead. This is going to be a dastardly dynamic if your name is J-Lane, Milo or Tyrrell. A delightful dynamic if you're anybody else behind. Vulcan, by the way, is making his way through the spoon handle section of the course. And he does have a lot to hold on to this race. Counting his lucky stars all the way through. Has endured the safety cars. Also, can I say shout out to Pretender. Started from the back of the grid. Has done a very decent recovery job, all things considered, in the Haas car. Made his way up into P9. Very, very easy. For your composure to turn calamitous, but he has not allowed that to transpire. And he's having fun out there. And he's making a good race of it. Lap number 13 out of 18 here at the Jeddah Kellogg circuit. And your leader at the moment is Mr. J-Lane, followed by McLaren man Milo, followed by the Alpine assassin Tyrrell, followed by the Kick Sauber Slicer Slam, followed by the Aston Martin Annihilator Big Sam, the Alpine Axeman Pathiman in P6, the Red Bull Ravager Dirkleton, the Williams Warlock, probably, Buck 57 in 8th, the Haas Hero Pretender, the Mercedes Maestro Magico in P10, the Red Bull Ravager Jamie Tarquin, and the voluptuous V-Carb of Vulcan. There you go, good. Right, up at the front, we are waiting for it to go green light again, and it will soon because Vulcan has moseyed his way up to the back of this queue. So when they cross the Sector 2 split, I would imagine it should be green flag, all stations go. And then it really is the ultimate test for the top 3 to test their mettle. How solid will they stand? Oh, Magico's down to P11. Was briefly. There is some lag issues going on. I've no idea what on earth's happening. Stark called it when they all came into the pits. He said you'd put softs on now. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone who isn't on softs, realistically. But it will be green flag racing when they cross the line for lap number 14. Under the floodlights in Saudi Arabia. Luckily, not on the Saudi Arabian skyscraper yet. I firmly like Formula 1 on terra firma. I thought J-Lane went extremely early then. Has he gone early? He has gone early. We are back racing in the Blackout Racing Series. And there is only 5 tours to go. A very good breakaway from the front 3. Exactly what they needed. Big Sam piling on the pressure. On Slam, they can ill afford to do that if they want to try and conquer the top few spots in this race. Pathyman remains P6, Dirkleton 7th, Buck 57 is all over the back of him. Nothing to separate the two of them. There is no safety car. Ignore the graphics, the FIA are on Kool-Aid. Jamie Tarquin 9th. On mediums, Pretender 10th, Magico 11th, Vulcan in 12th. Meanwhile, up at the front, Slam is catching rapidly. As is Big Sam. This is going to be a spicy fest at the end of this one. Kick Sauber charging down and hunting the front 3. Can he poach his prey? Only time will tell. For now, it's a good start to proceedings. Like I said, this is the ample opportunity. The best opportunity for someone to get an elusive race win, to find themselves on the rostrum, is today when Thanasi, when Timalele, when Terziak are all not here. This is your chance to properly go for it, as Magico's made a move on Pretender. Up into P10 he goes. Then he can try and charge towards Jambil Tarquin up at the front. Tyrrell's lost touch with the front 2 briefly. Milo trying to find his way past the V-carb car. And feinted to the inside, thought about pressurising J-Lane into a mistake, but backed out of that one. Not close enough to force the defensive manoeuvre, and so just has to bide his time. Pretender and Magico having a great scrap of things for P10. Through goes Pretender. Down the inside on the brakes, and now we have 2 angry Red Bulls on the back of the Williams car of Buck 57. Milo, great exit out of Sector 1. The outside line opens up briefly, but J-Lane chops across. Says, no thank you. You haven't mortgaged that particular avenue. That's mine for the taking. How much longer can the V-carb man hold up this line of resistance? To be the bouncer's barricade, there's only so long he can do it for. DRS open on this straight. 4 cars in it to win it. Slam has a front row seat, a golden ticket, waiting to pick up the pieces in case any of these drivers out front really mess it up. Milo, though, doesn't have any intentions of doing so. Through before the final corner and leads the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. J-Lane gets a good enough exit, though, and will have DRS. J-Lane pulls to the outside. Tyrrell's going to follow him. No, he isn't. Switches to the inside. Tyrrell goes through into the lead of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Massive lock-up on the brakes, though. And J-Lane retakes P1 all over again. It's all systems switching around here in Saudi Arabia as Pathyman and Big Sam join this train. Absolutely no resistance as he skates over the curb. In fact, there was no skating. If Isaac Newton saw this game, he would probably still wish he were dead. because physics don't comply in this universe, but Slam certainly is reveling in the universe of F1 24 Blackout. Can't keep up in the corners as well as he would hope, though. DRS is only going to assist him so much. He has to be right on the diffuser of Milo in order to make the most of things here, because that's really where the battle for the lead is. If he overtakes Milo, if he stays ahead, remains within 3 seconds of the front two, he will win. It's as simple as that. You can't make it any crystal clear in these final moments of the Blackout Racing Series. Big Sammy has been overtaken by Buck 57. Into P6 he goes. And I can't remember who has front wing damage anymore, but here comes Jamie Tarquin. Was at the back of the grid for a long time, is now up into P6. What a recovery from Jamie Tarquin after the front wing damage he picked up after that first safety car. Almost a huge battle developing between Tyrrell and J-Lane as Buck 57 and Big Sam go hammer and tong once again. Trying to hold it to the inside is Big Sam. Sweeping round the outside is Buck 57. Lovely racing between the pair of them. Even Magico and Pretender's battle hasn't been settled yet, as wide goes Pretender once again. Probably just very happy to be racing full stop as round the outside Dirkleton tries to go on Big Swimmer. Almost does it. Big Swimmer's mid-corner phase significantly better, and so he carries on. Only 1.5 laps left of this race then, and so far it's looking like Milo has this one in the bag, but never say never. Stranger things have happened. Slam all over the back of the McLaren, piling insurmountable pressure on. But Milo, crucially for him, has a chance to put a car between himself and the Kick Sauber driver on board with the McLaren towards the final corner. Thought about going down the inside, but has bided his time. As Slam is on the inside, Milo's gone wide, and now it's going to be a drag race to the final corner. This is possibly to win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Milo just has the legs on Slam. This is his chance though. Down the inside, contact. Massive contact in return as the concertina happens. Tyrrell gets hit by J-Lane again. Slam's lost half of his front wing, and so Milo will surely go round the outside of the Sauber driver. Pathiman's on the inside, contact made as he slams into the wall. Courtesy of Slam, and any hope the Kick Sauber driver had of winning this race, it gone in a flash. 3-second time penalty. Defending for everything is worth, so credit to him where credit is due, but surely it's a matter of time as Jamie Tarquin robustly goes round the outside. Now has just him and the Kick Sauber between him and possibly a P2 in this race, unbelievably. You cannot write this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Take your time, sir. DRS will be yours, and then through you can go. Basically, bump drafting Slam up towards the left-hander. He's not going to wait around. Through the left-hander goes Jamie Tarquin. Slam cuts across very ruthlessly. We're going to have to watch the front while those guys have a sensational slice of things. Slam's had a huge problem. J-Lane, though, up at the front. Well, what a race he's driven. Had it not been for the 3-second time penalty, I would let him lap up all the applause. Despite that, it's going to be a very convincing podium for the V-Carb man, but 2 times in a row. So nice, he had to do it twice. Milo wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. J-Lane comes home P2. And when all is said and done, Tyrrell, despite being nerfed to the back after the first safety car restart, despite all of the hardships he went through, he doesn't emulate a certain Alpine driver in Season 15 in the first race and finishes his first run at Blackout with a podium. And breathe, ladies and gentlemen. And breathe. I feel like I need to lie down after that race. That is a Saudi Arabian spectacle through and through. And we're not going to be able to see the results. We're not allowed nice things. Codemasters has clearly decided that it's in their best interest not to let me provide you with valuable insight, but we will have a podium at least. Mr. Milo, very familiar with the top spot on the Jeddah Corniche circuit nowadays. Did it last season, An awkwardly long handshake, but raising the roof in Saudi Arabia. And of course, next time we have the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, soon in the future, it'll be on a skyscraper anyway, so it's rather appropriate. Miller has raised the roof. It's fantastic. Great racing from J-Lane as well. And there's a woman on the podium in Saudi Arabia. I'll leave you with that. Mr. World in third place. You're absolutely right. We will happily take a P2. You happily should take a P2, my friend. That was an admirable drive from you, sir. Great racing from all of our podium drivers. Miller, again, emulating exactly what I said before. What he did the previous season, and that was keep it out of the walls, keep his cool, bide his time, and he's reaped the rewards for it. He has made the most of a race full of chaos. That's exactly what he needed to do. Ladies and gentlemen, that is race number 1 done for today. And in the end, actually, Mr. Magico came home in P8. And I can tell you what the standings are because it shows the points in the lobby. So let's show you them now. Milo, of course, your race winner. We then had J-Lane in P2, Tyrek P3, Pathiman P4, Big Sam P5, Dirkleton 6th, Buck 57 in 7th, Magico 8th, Jamie Tarquin had a huge problem. I forgot to see that. Probably it was him and Slam that made contact, and that's why he only got 2 points as opposed to what I thought he was going to get, which was about 10 points more than that. So that's rather unfortunate for him, and I do feel for him. But nonetheless, we have Vulcan and Maximus, who do actually also pick up points. Because remember, Blackout, positions 1 to 15 have points paying positions in this league. We are a charitable organisation. We allow opportunities for all walks of Formula life. Now, F1 Life's rubbish. I forgot about that feature. Anyway, enough about those results. We have a short break. And then we are off to the next race, which is over, of course, at the Bahrain Grand Prix. And not only that, it is a wet to dry race. And especially round a track like Bahrain, it's going to be a very interesting one. It's all getting ready then. I've seen the clouds inside the lobby change. And that can only mean it's going to be disastrous. But probably delightfully disastrous. Maximus said that whole end of the race phase was so spicy. I agree. It certainly was. Magico did a good recovery. He absolutely did. What a time. What a time it was. I forgot to do my prediction for who was going to be the first to meet Barry R. I don't really know. I don't really know who I would have said. I don't think I would have said Maximus, honestly. I genuinely don't think I would have, and I'm not just saying that to make him feel better. I genuinely don't think I would have said him. And technically, it actually wasn't him that he nerfed it properly, but or actually nerfed another car. So he might not even have met Barry R in the end, which is it's rather anticlimactic, really, isn't it? Basically, the only drivers that met Barry R got front wing damage. And that was it. There was nothing. Wing damage before second SC. Yeah, it was a race of flaking front wings, I think is the best way of putting it. But you all put on a show, and I am very happy. So it looks like we have a new fast Frenchman, or fast French team driver, in the Alpine suit. And that is Mr. Tyrek. And one could say, don't be satiric about it. I'm not going to. But the real point is, there's my face cam one. I don't want that one. What the hell is that? Oh, that's supposed to be my face cam one. I was like, what the hell have I mapped these keybinds to? Now I remember. Right. Let's head over 2, we're going to head over to the screen once I figure out what keybind I actually used for it, so it looks silky smooth. Can I actually find it? Probably not. Oh! Oh, wait, that's number 5. I thought that was number 3 for a second. That was weird. Aha! It's that one. Okay.
We're going to guess that it's just a bad...
What we're going to do is we're going to watch this clip here. Have a look through at some of the other drivers' perspectives and moments here in the Blackout Racing Series. This first one from Buck57 in 7th place on the final lap. We can get a good idea of exactly what happened to Jamble up ahead.
Sensor shouldn't be anything to worry about.
So something about a sensor happened. He's got the sensor beeps happening, and I assume he needs them, given how cataclysmic this is going to turn out.
The most aggressive driver.
To the outside goes Jamie Tarquin. He tries to get through on Slam, who then cuts across Jamie Tarquin. Tarquin tries to go round the outside. He then hits into Slam, who is killed. Then Jamie Tarquin, I've no idea what happens to him, but Pathyman's all over him. Probably tries to dive down the inside. Oh, never mind. Well, we don't get to see the whole clip, but if I were to see the whole clip, it probably would have ended in a massive send for Mr. Pathyman. But a good race from Pathyman as well, actually. I didn't say it initially, but he has done very, very well indeed. So good job, Pathyman. It's great to see you back in the Blackout fray. Big Sam, then. I'm going to open up your clip, monsieur. Turns out I don't have any sound for it. How about that? Well, there you go. Let me turn it to about half. This is lap number 18 on the perspective of Big Sam as well. Could possibly be his little battle with Derek Dirkleton. Let's find out. So, towards this section of corners once again. Seems to be the starting point of all things disastrous. But hitting the wall goes Big Sam. So that really ramps the point and hits home. Dirkleton, Big Sam looking nervously in his virtual mirror to make sure Dirkleton doesn't career into him, but he's looking ahead at the action between Jamie Tarquin and Slam. Into the wall goes Slam, down the inside goes Big Swimmer, into P7 on the road. Magico at this point in P10. Magico's gained another 2 positions in the time it's taken for all of this to transpire and the end of the race. So, you know what? What an effort. What an effort from my husband. He's an absolute legend of the game. Any other clips we can find of the Jeddah Cornish pasty circuit? I don't actually know. Just making sure we're not going to go into racing once again very, very quickly, because otherwise it would be a terrible time. There are not any clips for me to look at. Send in clips of Saudi Arabia, guys. I want to see all of the goings on. We can all look through it together as one happy Blackout family. You're welcome, Mr. Pathyman. You are very welcome indeed. Lobby updated. A wet to dry Bahrain Grand Prix is just around the corner. And that could be pretty cool. And actually, it probably would be pretty cool, because when it rains is probably the coolest Bahrain ever gets. Which is rather unfortunate. So there you are. What else do I talk about, really? I mean, last season, it was a season opener, Bahrain, and it was a fully dry race. Not only that, in the daytime. In the daytime, it were. Pole position went to Timbo, and it was also the one where I was basically, my jaw hit the floor, because Magico ended up something like P6 in qualifying, which I didn't expect at all. Not in a bad way. Obviously, I believe in my husband wholeheartedly. But the point is that I just didn't expect him to hit those heights, and he did. In convincing fashion. So, fair play. Credit where credit is due. Magico did the work very, very well. Can he do the same here today, though? That's the real question. And my other question is, if it happens to... Oh, Magico predicted a Milo win in Jeddah. Well, congratulations, sir. Prediction king right here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do my own predictions before we get going with the rest of this. 20 or so seconds before we get into the Blackout action for the second qualifying session of the night. I'm going to predict the pole sitter and race winner and how many DNFs there will be. So, my pole sitter for the Bahrain Grand Prix is going to be Tyrrell. I mean, Saudi Arabia put a slight lump in my throat, and not the good kind. because he's quite a speedy boy. So I think he's going to do pole position. But who do I think is going to win? It's obviously a much more open circuit. Lots more room and time to scream as things go horribly wrong before you actually end up hitting a barrier. Which is, I guess, a bit of an advantage in some cases. Magico says Jamie Tarquin's going to win this race. He was one of the first names that came to my head. I am going to say that it is going to be... I agree. I think it's actually going to be Jamie Tarquin. He was the first name that came into my head. Jamie Tarquin, then. We've had a PC boy win today. It's now a console boy's turn. And I believe it will be Jamie Tarquin. Although, don't count out the man I'm currently highlighting on the spectator bit on the left. Tyrrell has every reason to be a winner today. And I can't see how he won't be one if he continues the pace he had. Especially... during the whole of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, despite being at the back of the grid, he still ended up P3. And I think that says a lot about the man behind the wheel of the French machine. Out of the pits first, though. Look who's out into the pit lane. It's Dergleton, quickly chopped off and stopped in his tracks by Alpine. Who is it? Is it Pathiman or is it Tyrrell? I believe it's Pathiman. Am I right or am I right? Out of the pit lane goes Mr. Pathiman. And onto the track. I was absolutely right. The French connection. French driver, French car. Although not really a French engine for much longer because Renault announced that their works engine thing's been stopped. So, I'm guessing it went well for them. Let's put it that way. My question is, who does Alpine go to as an engine supplier? I think I heard a rumour that possibly Mercedes was on the table for Alpine. Which, I mean, is fair enough. Also, what's happening with the Red Bull Ford thing? There was this whole... I mean, obviously, it's a big thing, Red Bull and Ford, and then there was a certain time where Ford were like, Red Bull are being extremely... It's damaging our reputation, I think because of the Christian Horner allegations at the time. I say allegations because... I don't want to go to prison. I'm saying that as if I didn't just make several comments about the political state of Saudi Arabia, but we move. Then Ford came out, I believe, with a statement with something to do with that, and then I haven't heard much about it since. But we'll see. It's almost as much as I've heard about the Andretti thing, which F1 still refuses them to get into the sport for. But anyway, it's time to get going with qualifying. There's been an overtake on the track already. They're getting racy here in the Sakir Desert, in the Sakir Sunset, on board with Derek Derkleton. We go, though, for a lap of the Sakir International, or the Bahrain International Circuit in Sakir, which is near the capital of Manama. Not to be confused with Panama, which is an entirely different country. Underneath the Rolex sponsorship, though, who will try and be on the side of and favour the most in this qualifying session. All is to come. DHL sponsorship, Derkleton didn't deliver a great exit out of that corner, but he is an apex predator through the next couple of corners. Braking hard into the hairpin corner and round past a few Mick Schumacher's cruises. Banners he'll be feeling like with this particular game. He is actually driving a real cruise ship. Into the hairpin, the most tricky corner to get right on the F1 game, in my opinion, by quite some margin. But he's done very well there. And actually is giving Pathiman a little bit of a slipstream. Watch this space, could be interesting. Oops, daisy. There's Vulcan. Hello, mate. Back to the Derek Derkleton show, though. Full throttle, look how little steering lock there is. Crazy. I feel like it's probably the same on F1 23. I should know, I played it as recently as yesterday. Although I have the memory of a goldfish, so I don't remember. I should remember I played F1 23 yesterday, although I have a memory of the goldfish, so I don't... Although I'm saying that, I played F1 23 as recent. It's not funny, really, is it? Across the line goes Derkleton for the first lap. And the first lap, once again, is a 1 minute 30 until Pathiman comes through. The French connection doing the business. It's a 1 minute 29.968. Tyrrell across the line, pole position for the time being, and it's 1.2 seconds clear. Which is alarmingly good, but then you remember we have the rest of the grid to show their hand. Final corner for Mr. Milo. Tyres bite into the bitumen beautifully. Traction at an all-time high, and he's not far off the pole position time whatsoever. Neither is Buck 57. Jamie Tarquin has obliterated it. Half a second provisionally on pole position. And as an early statement, you can do no better. Magico's in P4. It's happening again. The Banzai Bahrain strategy is coming to the forefront again for the Mercedes driver, where he qualified P6 last time out. He's already in P5 at the beginning of this session. J-Lane, by the way, with a stonker of a lap, currently out-qualifying Pure Tyrrell in the Alpine. His V-Carb has contactlessly made his way through, with zero commission, into P2. Other laps that have happened, just Vulcan. He's currently a 1 minute 31.5, although going for another lap with substantial amounts of battery. Taking a nice line through the hairpin. Just can't get the exit sorted out. It is a vicious, vicious pendulum they're fighting with at the rear end of that car. It's like a gazelle. As a famous Brummy man, short individual on a certain car show once said, they're rear-wheel drive. Through the right-hander they go. 3 cars that have already been on laps. Slam's not even here. Don't know whether that's internet issues or I've missed something. But either way, Vulcan through the final corner. It will be an improvement on his first provisional lap time. DRS will be open as soon as possible. He's used all the ERS. Across the line he goes. That's much more like it. 1 minute 30.1. Currently rests P9 as Maximus begins his first flying lap of the session. Stark makes a very, very good point here in the strategic department. Says, given that it's going to be a wet, dry race, is there much point in qualifying? Better to save a set of tyres for when it dries out. And he is not wrong. He is not wrong to open up the palette of Pirelli tyres available to you later on in the Grand Prix, when the rain does eventually dissipate and it dries out, which, given that we're in the desert, should take about 1 millisecond. But you want to open up strategic opportunities for you here. Catch your opposition out. The less laps and the less sets of tyres you use in this session, the better. It's good to have the ascendancy in the initial phase. But after that, it's just about keeping your composure. Dirkleton's improved by half a second, by the way. Up into P7 he goes for the moment. J-Lane's going for another lap, meanwhile, on the same set of tyres. Only 700ths down on his initial lap time. Flying through that corner. And the car complies beautifully. Wonderful balance in that V-Carb car as he catapults his way into the left-hander. Throws the steering wheel in like Fernando Alonso in the Michelin days. Which is wonderful to see, and it's a purple Sector 2 to boot. Let's just hope the rest of the lap he doesn't act like the Michelin man. Don't cancel me, guys. You know what I mean. Through the final corner goes the sister Red Bull car. People getting very not happy about it, saying, oh, you can't have a Red Bull sister team helping out Red Bull. Well, it's been the game for years. Cross the line. He's only under a 10th off pole position now on the same set of tyres. A mark of firstly the track ramping up, but also a mark of J-Lane driving incredibly well this week in Blackout. It's all coming together for the V-Carb driver in sumptuous style. Maximus first lap across the line, meanwhile. He's 8 tenths up. He's gone for another lap. Quite obviously, because the first one was bad. That's not a great line, and if it remains valid, I will be shocked. I thought it was going to go full throttle to do the experiment on that one, and I would have laughed if it was still valid. But not to be. Vulcan, however, is pushing. Through the left-hander he goes. Don't know what his delta's like, but he's actually using the overtake mode. Good man, Vulcan. Heeding my calls. And he's actually 2 tenths up on his time again. Track evolving at a rapid rate of knots here. Much quicker than I expected it to anyway. Or perhaps it just does that quickly anyway in this game. I'm not too aware of its game. But this game does have some game in the game. Towards the line we go. DRS open. Where's it going to be for Vulcan? The answer is it's an improvement of 1 position. 128. 0.869. Nice. But others behind him are on the move. Pathiman has gone purple in Sector 1. So maybe it really is ramping up. Holy moly. Magico went through the first corners, decided that wasn't good enough, and he's going to leave it be. Jamie Tarquin on another flying lap. Into the pits came a V-carb car. Millo's gone across the line, I think that is, or is he starting a lap as well? The answer is, I can assume from the amount of battery he has, that he is starting a lap. Meanwhile, how's Pathiman doing? He's 9/10 up on his time. Easily going to be our next contender to breach the 1:29 barrier. Stark says, I seem to remember Pathiman being fast around Bahrain. You're about to find out if that particular fact is true. He's up into P5 for the time being. So you are probably not wrong. Big Sam, meanwhile, in all of this, has got up to P6. I don't know when that happened, but fair play to you, sir. I didn't recognise your game before, but now I will. Pure Tyrrell's gone across the line. It's not a vast enough improvement to really ramp him up the order. Remains P3. It's 3 and 5 for the Endstone outfit of Alpine. Great news for them. Jamie Tarquin's 5.5 seconds down on his time. Is he driving the real life Red Bull? Okay, it's not that slow, but you know what I mean. Magico through the final corner. Use overtake, lad. Well done. Look at that. That's my husband right there. Knows all of the tricks. That's why our marriage has worked out so well. Millo, what's he up to? He's also had a terrible time on his lap, and he's waiting to go again with a bit of recomposure. He's reconciled with his tyres with a bit of resuscitation in the Pirellis, and away he goes. Down the back straight, the pit straight, with DRS wide open, using a bit of the overtake juice to boot, and carrying on his merry way. Looking at the Mercedes man and Magico. Still not using the full extremities of the track, but keeping it balanced and poised all the way around, and that's exactly what you need to do. You lose more time over pushing it than just leaving a bit of time on the table. Better to get a clean up on the board. That's a huge snap of oversteer on the rear end as he just tries to get the overtake button down as quickly as possible, but it is not to be. The car not complying with that particular request, although that corner was a lot nicer indeed. Remaining on board with the Mercedes man. 3/10 down though. That exit has hurt him. It's going to hurt him all the way through to the end of the lap. Jamie Tarquin, that exit's hurt him because it's invalidated his lap. Oh dear. Millo is about a 10th up on his current time. For those of you wondering how I'm commentating and simultaneously sneezing, I'm talented. Millo's half a second up. Everyone let him cook. This could be an opportunity for another pole position here. Through the final corner. Could this be another pole position time on the board? DRS open across the line. It is pole position for the McLaren driver with 5 minutes to go. A 1:28.198. And you can almost bet your bottom dollar it's going to get into the 1:27 bracket before this session is up. Pathiman says apparently he's pretty mid around Bahrain, which I refuse to believe given that he's currently P5. The guys on Discord explained to me I can use overtaking quali. Yeah, overtake's quite powerful, as it turns out. The more you know. Maximus across the line, start another flying lap here. Meanwhile, behind is Buck 57, who was on the move initially, but he's into the pit lane. There is a Red Bull that's not into the pit lane, no. And Dirkleton has just gone up into P5. It's a very nice lap time from the Red Bull driver. Red Bull now 2nd and 5th. Life is very good. Pretender through turn 1, a bit wide at the apex. Not imperative, though. Can carry the momentum. And he hooks up turn 2 nicely and can carry on his merry way towards turn number 4. Hard after the 100-metre board. Poised the car in. The rear end not complying. It's so on a knife edge. It's unbelievable. You could cut silence with that knife edge of a rear end. And luckily, the main thing that is cutting silence is the Symphony of V6 song that is happening right in front of us now. Milo going very slowly. I don't know whether he's charging his battery or getting into the pit lane. If he wants to get into the pit lane, he's got a little bit of time. But, I mean, he's cutting the corner, so there you go. Just having an explore of the sandbox as he will peel into the pit lane. Maximus, oh, he's invalidated his lap. Pretender hasn't, though. Again, the rear end's so nervous on that car. I feel like it could snap at any minute. Never a moment of total security in the Haas car, but Pretender certainly not a Haas bean, as DRS will be open for the American Dream. Across the line he goes, and it is a marginal improvement, and he's beaten Vulcan. Into P10 he goes. Dirkleton across the line again. He's starting a flying lap. Big swimmer into the 1 minute 28, as there's 2 minutes and 42, make that 41, 40 seconds left of this qualifying session. Not long to go now for each of the drivers to make their last impressions on the pole position standings. Lots of people getting ready on outlaps then. Jamie Tarquin, J-Lane, Pure Tyrrell trying to challenge for the pole position that Milo currently has, although he is just exiting the pit lane now. Pathyman on an outlap, Magico on an outlap. It's going to get very interesting towards the end of this session. Dirkleton on another flying lap in the meantime. Pushing it to the limit as Magico crosses the line now to begin his surely final flying lap of the entire session. Dirkleton not too far down if he combines together the last couple of corners very nicely and fluidly. It could pay off. He can just extend his margin a tiny bit more, give himself that extra security blanket over the rest of the grid. Towards the line he goes. He feels like it's worth it. Can it be an improvement? It's absolutely identical for Dirkleton to the millisecond. And that is rather unbelievable. Where's Vulcan? There he is, 3 tenths up. Look at that. Cross the line. He's P9. Made that 4.5 tenths up. That's absolutely bloody lovely. J-Lane will be next to cross the line, though. To start his final flying lap. And then it's the Alpine Dream behind him. Both Pathyman and Pure Tyrrell. Pure Tyrrell first on the road. Pathyman squealing out for a hopeful toe ahead of him to try and get something. But that might just be a little bit too far away for his liking. Milo will cross the line with about 30 seconds to go. This is it then. The final lap's on the table. Magico, one of the first to cross the line. Big Sam actually is one of the first. Can't improve on his time on the older tyres. Magico next to cross the line. Couple attempts up previously. Across he goes. And he loses that time in the final sector. And waggles the wheel in frustration. I know the feeling, my friend. Buck 57 gets across the line in the nick of time. Across the line goes a singular Red Bull. And it's Jamie Tarquin starting his final lap of the qualifying session. And Maximus is just, and I mean just by the skin of his teeth, crossed the line. He is next to start his final flying lap of the entire session. Vulcan's day is done. Dirkleton's day is done. It's up to J-Lane, and he's got a purple sector too. Not only is it a prime opportunity to get those bigger points today, it's also a prime opportunity to show off your qualifying zest to try and get pole position. And this is a great chance for J-Lane. DRS open, across the line, it's provisionally pole position on the road. But there are still plenty of takers. Pure Tyrrell won't be doing it. He's invalidated his lap time. It's up to Milo to try and prize it away. To snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Feels like Tyrrell snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Or that's probably a commentator's curse from me. I do apologise. DRS towards the line. Can Milo get pole? No, he can't. It's so close from him. But there are still people watching and waiting. One of which is the Pathyman. One of which is not the Pathyman. So it's only Jamie Tarquin that can try and take pole. Round the final corner, no idea what the rest of his lap has looked like. DRS open to the line. It's pole position for J-Lane in the Visa Cash App contactless car. One of his first pole positions I've ever seen him do in Blackout. Maybe even the very first. But when I said it was a prime opportunity to prize pole position away, J-Lane made the absolute most of it. The Visa Cash App car is on the front. The very front. Only Milo and Jamie Tarquin could get remotely close, but their efforts were not enough. J-Lane takes pole position with Milo joining him on the front row. Jamie Tarquin P3, around the world Tyrrell takes P4. Dirkleton 5th, Big Swimmer in 6th, Pathyman 7th, Magico in 8th, Vulcan 9th, Buck 57 rounds out the top 10 with Pretender and Maximus rounding out the grid. Soon enough, it will be race day, but ladies and gentlemen, let's just remember, it's raining. At the start of this Grand Prix, it is raining. A quite frankly stupendous qualifying session from J-Lane has him on pole here for a changeable conditions scenario at the Sakir circuit here in Bahrain. Who will do the delightful work in the desert? Well, we're about to find out at the moment. They're experiencing a windfall of rain. They've never seen the like. And where's the Paddock Club? Probably on top of that massive tower over there. Slam is so angry with how that last race ended, he's playing PUBG. And it's weird. I find it weird how they've gone for Player Unknown Battlegrounds and they've had to use Battlegrounds twice. So they've gone PUBG Battlegrounds, which means it's Player Unknown Battlegrounds Battlegrounds. Isn't that just really weird, or am I being obtuse? I don't think I am. I think that's just weird. Anyway, formation lap is a go.
Right then, the formation lap has started, and I must say the weather conditions aren't the best today for visibility and grip. As each driver performs this lap, they'll be wanting to settle in and concentrate.
The irony
this race
of Bahrain
in these conditions will require a lot of focus.
Intermediate tyres for absolutely everyone. No splitting on the strategies here today. They have to be the ones to be eagle-eyed on the weather conditions,
ready to take the start of the race as the cars take their positions on the grid
when the right time is.
Making their final preparations.
Ladies and gentlemen, remember it's a 50% race. A lot that can still happen and plenty of opportunities to open up for our 12 drivers here for the second race of the evening. V-Carb on pole position with J-Lane. Milo's McLaren P2. Thanks, announcer. I don't care. 5 red lights for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Who's going to come out on top? Lights out and away we go, and it looks like they're all getting away safely without much problems. J-Lane gets a good initial start, but Milo in the later phase does extremely well and tries to go down the inside of J-Lane, but late on the brakes. It's brave and bold. Dirkleton's gone round the outside of Milo and is sliding his way through the second corner, trying to plant the power down. It's an astronomically good start from Dirkleton. Providing he can also get past Milo, it will be absolutely stratospheric. He's in P2. What a start for Dirkleton in the Red Bull car from P5 to P2 on the road. Absolutely fantastic start. J-Lane then will try and escape into the distance. It's Dirkleton in P2 for Red Bull. Milo 3rd, Jamie Tarquin in 4th, Tyrrell down to 5th, Magico up to 6th. What a start from him in the Mercedes car and piling on the pressure on the Alpine ahead. Big Sam 7th, Vulcan 8th, Buck 57 9th and Maximus in 10th, and they're all making their way through this first lap safely. Milo darting out with a slipstream of Dirkleton there. That looked very interesting. J-Lane's got that section of corners hooked up wonderfully. Outside of a second already. Not that it makes much of a difference because, well, if you want DRS to be enabled, good luck to you, sir. Purple sector 2 for J-Lane, already keeping his composure out in the front. And Dirkleton is the man that's having to look behind. Onto the back straight, onto lap number 2. It turns out it's not a 50% race, it's a 35%er. 20 laps of Bahrain Grand Prix bonkers, balmy bonanza things. Any words beginning with B. Enough of the alliteration though. Millo's about to maul Dirkleton, or at least try to. Round the outside, braking on the curb, a little bit of a lock-up, but look at the momentum. Dancing round the Red Bull driver. McLaren's Millo does marvellously there. Up into P2, where he was before. Falcon's gone hugely wide there. A huge, well, Visa Cash that car. Spearing off to the right-hand side of the screen there. He gets back on the track, but it's down to P11 as Jamie Tarquin has been unleashed to try and get the cars up front. And now Tyrrell's the one trying to get past Dirkleton. Thinks about a move to the inside. Dirkleton has that one covered off. But daring the diffuser of Dirkleton, trying to push him round the track is unbelievable. Has to get out of the braking almost and steer out of hitting his diffuser. A bit of a bottleneck forming behind Dirkleton in this early phase. Magico doing wonders as well, keeping up with Tyrrell. Big Sam also keeping a watchful eye on proceedings. At the moment, there's one driver, a league of his own, as we're a 10th through this race. J-Lane with almost 2.5 seconds out in front. Stark says, looks slippy. Whoa. Guys, this guy might be a meteorologist. Met Office, give him a call. There's Jamie Tarquin going extremely wide, and if he thought he'd been unleashed to try and get Millo up ahead, he was sorely mistaken. Dirkleton in the slipstream, no DRS at his disposal. Tyrrell, though, has very much got slipstream and is trying to usurp the Red Bulls up ahead. First one down is Mr. Dirkleton. Leave a bit of space to the inside. Momentum is on his side, though. And through into P4 he goes. A bit of defensive work to do, though, as the Red Bull car uses the battery as much as he can. Could have potentially darted to the inside as Big Sam is darting to the inside. Contact made with the rear right of Magico. Big Sam does extremely well to save it, but in the end, he has to stay in P7 for now. It's about biding your time, though. It's about cooking up. I have more great insights like that. Keep them coming, Stark. We're going to have great fun with them, trust me. Now there's the 2.5 second barrier I was talking about. J-Lane absolutely thriving in the intermediate conditions. There's the spray that looks more like a Minecraft convention. Millo trying to keep him honest as best he can, but at the moment the V-Card man has all the answers to the queries of the Papaya machine. The Papaya Pro, no less. Any more battles materialising behind. Tyrrell's just broken outside of a second of Dirkleton. And Magico's caught back up again, although we'll have to be mindful that Big Sam is all over him. Pathyman's on the prowl on Buck 57. Darts to the inside, albeit briefly. And it was all worth it. The pressure is paying off. Gets a substantially better exit. And it's now a drag race towards turn number 1, which is not even a contest. Renault might have pulled out of the Formula 1 engine programme, but clearly they built a rocket ship in the form of Pathyman's car. Through he goes into P8. Big Sam and Magico's duel isn't done yet. That was extremely forceful from Big Sam. Forces Magico right off the road. And now Pathyman's all over him. It's going to go from bad to worse for the Mercedes driver. Diving to the inside goes Pathyman. And again, a bit of contact, but through goes the Alpine driver into P7. That's 2 positions gained in the space of about 2 straights. Lovely stuff for him. Magico, though, looking at his rear end. Could have thought about inside or outside or USA, except we're not in the USA. It is Bahrain. Meanwhile, he's in a different postcode. He is in a different postcode. 3.5 seconds of the gap. And ladies and gentlemen, in other news, it has stopped raining. I'm going to watch the time deltas. If anyone's listening in to this stream that's racing, I might have the insight you need. J-Lane still going faster, though. Perhaps not yet time. Maybe next lap is the time. You want to strap on the slick tyres, but still a bit of a sheen on the track. Visually, track not ready to slap on the slick tyres and be the boldest in the room. They say fortune favours the brave, but if you are too brave, you end up looking pretty pathetic, which is the irony of it all, isn't it? Jamie Tarquin put the pressure on Milo briefly as J-Lane sets the fastest lap. Into the pits comes Milo, Jamie Tarquin, Tyrrell's in as well, Dirkleton in, absolutely everyone in. It's going to be chaos in the pit lane. They're getting on the slick tyres now while they still can. And as J-Lane left it slightly too long, we're about to find out if he has here. He did have a nice cushion at that particular point. Hard tyres on, I assume, for absolutely every... Is that Big Sam on softs? Is that Big Sam on softs? Is that... What? J-Lane up at the front then. Still going faster, despite being on his intermediate tyres. I'm watching Milo to see what that 11-second gap is looking like between himself and Pretender. He does catch up rather substantially through the right-hander initially. Watching him again here, it's still very treacherous out there. The call was maybe slightly too early, although he gets it a lot more together this time. That's much more like it. Practically Fernando Alonsoing his way through that corner. And J-Lane's improving hand over fist, but surely he's got to come in to cover off the McLaren threat. As much as Milo is losing time a little bit here and there, he's gained a second to Pretender at various points throughout the lap. Although J-Lane's probably better off not listening to me at all, to be honest with you. It's not going to be as slippy now. Stark, thank you, mate. I didn't realise. J-Lane across the line. Actually, Milo's lost a lot of the time he made up. J-Lane with another fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Extends his margin out in front by a second. I assume Magico and Co are just following what the leader of the race does. And it turns out it's working quite well for him at the moment. DRS enabled. Never mind. That probably was the perfect point. And actually, well, in J-Lane's... actually... The good thing is, the ball in J-Lane's court is actually pretty good in terms of he will have the fresher tyres. Which is great news for him. Milo, again, not particularly catching up. And again, another purple sector from J-Lane. The intermediate's still working well. They're not completely shooting themselves to pieces. We have to see what Milo can do, though. Through turn number 1 he goes. Let's ride on board and see what it's looking like. Still looking slightly tentative from the sounds for the time being. Traction control working overtime in his car as he heads into the right-hander. That seems more like it. Buck 57 has already retired from the session in the pit lane. Oh no. What on earth's happened there? It's 4 attempts up. It's not a purple sector 1 though. So J-Lane's actually putting on a blinder in terms of pace. Another purple sector in sector 2. And J-Lane, unbelievably, might even be extending his margin out in front, despite everything I've just said. Which is rather unbelievable, isn't it? Can't even show you what lap times they've done. What a joke. Anyway, is J-Lane coming into the pits? He chooses now to strike while the iron is hot. He sets the fastest lap while going through the pit lane. Not many drivers can say they've done that, and surely Pathiman and Mr. Magico will follow suit. Indeed they do. Into pit row they go. Medium tyres on. And why is J-Lane taking... Aliens at work. I knew it. To the end of the pit lane goes J-Lane, though. And J-Lane has absolutely decimated it. What a stint on the intermediate tyres. What a call from the V-Carb driver. The absolute perfect time to put on the dry tyres. And the gap that once was 3.5 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, sees not only J-Lane in P1, Pathiman's P3, and Magico was dicing it out with Jamie Tarquin. This is unbelievable stuff. They can actually show the gap to Milo. I'd rather appreciate that. But basically, you're talking, oh, at least 8 seconds. I'm just counting it in my head now. It's over. It's more like 10 seconds. That gap out front is monstrous. What a meteoric stint from J-Lane. He doesn't have to do anything. He just has to keep it on the road. Yes, there might be safety cars still, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But at the moment, what a stint he has done. Absolutely unbelievable work from the V-Carb driver, who goes and puts a purple Sector 2 in. As Buck 57's gone from the session, I don't blame him. Whatever happened in Bahrain, it was not to be. But the fiery fairy tale out in front is this V-Carb man. Meanwhile, we're watching the cars behind. A certain Pathiman in P3. Alpine in real life, we get a nosebleed from that, but he's doing well and actually getting in DRS range. As Pretender's had a bit of an issue. No front wing damage for him, luckily, but it is certainly not ideal. Tyrrell is somehow in P8 after all of that. As Jamie Tarquin sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:32. Make that Big Sam with a 1:31.9. Times are coming down thick and fast here. But now it's J-Lane's turn to put in a proper shift on his new medium tyres. See what it's like in it's purple in Sector 1, ladies and gentlemen, is what it is. The news out here, though, and Pretender is having a big problem out here today. And I think the lack of force feedback might have something to do with it. Driving extremely slowly here. He's manufacturing a safety car to save his race. That could be quite something. Gap's 12 seconds out in front, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot make this up. Pretender's out of the Grand Prix as well. And then there were 10. Not even halfway through the Bahrain Grand Prix. This is what the situation looks like. J-Lane out in front by 12.5 seconds. Milo P2. Pathiman in P3 for Alpine. Jamie Tarquin in P4. Mr. Magico in P5 for Mercedes. Big Sam in P6. In hot pursuit, though, on the soft tyres, which I can't believe won't... Well, there's going to be a pyroclastic flow in those Pirellis come the end of this race. How is he going to manage? Maximus in 7th. Tyrrell is in 8th. Vulcan in 9th. J-Lane has the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. 1:31.309. We don't talk about domination from anyone other than Thanasi or Terziak or Timalele normally. And sometimes you throw Milo and Jamie Tarquin into that conversation. At the moment, though, the conversation very much focused on J-Lane. But let's turn our attention to this. Pathiman's up into P2 for the Alpine team. Big Sam down the inside of Magico. Run it back. It's bonkers battling between the two of them once again here. They can start helping each other out should they wish to. Milo trying to make amends and go round the outside. Massive snap on the brakes from Pathiman, and he's been put into a spin with a little clip on the rear end from Jamie Tarquin. A bit of a smooch on his diffuser to boot. And what was a purely promising state of affairs has turned into pessimism. And breathe a little bit then, because it turns out Big Sam and Magico are now in, well, they're at the forefront of this particular canvas, with each brushstroke more beautiful than the other as they mosey their way to the back of Jamie Tarquin, who he himself is on the back of Milo. We could have yet more unexpected podium attendees in this Bahrain Grand Prix. This is unbelievable stuff. Pathiman, though, looking to make up for lost time. He's on the back of Maximus. DRS will be his, and ERS will be expended. I can actually use that word now. A much better corner, narrower exit, and it means he gets on the power sooner with DRS open, making the Energizer Bunny cry, except not really, because he's not using overtake. Point is, Pathiman breezes through into P6, leaves some room on the outside just in case Maximus misjudges his braking point, goes for a heinous send, but it is not to be. Pathiman back up into P6, and his attention is on those ahead. Jamie Tarquin thought about a move around the outside. You saw it in the foreground of your shot just then, but had to back out of it. Magico is all over the rear of Big Sam at the moment. Still all to play for here in this Bahrain Grand Prix. Look at the 4 cars in the shot of getting nothing to separate them between going for P2 or being slapped down to P5. It's unbelievable stuff here. DRS trains rearing their ugly head once again, though. I come back to the conversation of, should F1 really artificially be making tracks more difficult to overtake at? Or is part of the game really that F1, it is difficult to overtake in this sport? And you should have the talent, the skill, the guile to be able to put your opponent off kilter or to manufacture a marvellous move of your own. It's this magnificence which we cannot have because we have 15 DRS zones at next year's Bahrain Grand Prix, which I've just thought of. The battle for the podium spots then. Jamie Tarquin gets a good exit on his hard tyres. Doesn't even need to be by the DRS line before he can open up the rear flap and make his way through into P2. Big Sam next in the Aston Martin car. Looks to the inside of Milo. Looks to dive down the inside of Milo, who I thought for a moment was going to miss his braking zone, but not to be. And Magico, again, has got his popcorn out and is munching away furiously. Sweet and salted, possibly, I don't know, best of both worlds. Think of it like Hovis, but the point is, he is ready and waiting in case any of these guys screw the pooch. And the RSPCA are called. Oh no, Pathyman's round again! Was that contact again? Was that a spin of his own? It looked very manufactured. And unfortunately, it's another one that's gone wrong. And Vulcan, he himself, having to take avoiding action of the Alpine, has his own half-spin moment. And again, Pathyman has it all to do. Big Magico's pushing Big Sam through the hairpin and getting a sumptuous slide out of the corner for effect. That's pure Tyrrell, by the way. Now, oh no, Maximus in the wall. Into the wall goes the kick Sauber car. And he has to wait for the other three cars. And that means it's a safety car. Well, if you're J-Lane and you've got so much time ahead of you, you might as well pit. I'm not going to lie. You might as well pit. And so he is. Jamie Tarquin had just taken P2 of the Bahrain Grand Prix. J-Lane, though, has been put in a prime position to get onto the fresh rubber and have the best tyres available to him at the end of this contest. Soft tyres going on for the Visa Cash App car. Into the pits goes a sea of other cars. Jamie Tarquin stays out and is cannon fodder for the rest of this race. There you go, I said it. It's going to be a turkey shoot. It's going to be quite horrible for him. I did predict he was going to win this race, I will admit. But on tyres that are not only 2 compounds harder, but also 7 laps harder. I mean, older. Same thing. The point is, it's not going to be good. It's going to be the most shambolic scenario you can possibly imagine. Out of the pits, though, the likes of Milo, Big Sam and Magico come out in P3, 4 and 5 respectively. Tyrrell's gone for the medium tyres in a strategic play that could pay dividends towards the end. Dirkleton on softs, Vulcan on softs, Pathyman on mediums. Both Alpines on the medium tyres. If you're a French team, look no further than the medium rubber. Someone just has had someone join in the chat. Mr. Mike Smarts 543. I hope I said that right. Anyway, he says, is there a way I could join in? Luckily, there's someone watching this stream who can help you out with that, because Mr. Stark is one of the admins of Blackout. Yeah. Any questions you want from him, if you want to ping them his way, I'm sure he'll be more than happy to answer in terms of how you get involved, how you can join this wonderful league, even as a reserve driver, etc., for this season. We do have a whole grid, but a lot of the time, there are reserve spots that do open up. So we see Pathyman going wide as they try and catch up to the safety car, which is fair enough. Pushing like crazy, even under the safety car. That's the beauty of Blackout. Maximus's spin, then, is why we're in this safety car scenario, and here's the order at the moment. J-Lane on balked rubber is in P1. J-Lane, Milo, Big Sam, Magico, Tyrrell, Dirkleton, Vulcan, Pathyman and Maximus. The hungry Hammerhead Sharks behind him, who are going to chomp and chew their way through the Red Bull car that's currently leading. And never mind, he throws in the towel before we even get to that stage. Onto the freshest medium tyres of the lot, says Jamie Tarquin, in a strategic play that sees him now at the back of the field. So then everyone pretty much on the same age of tyres, of course only 3 drivers that have made the gamble to go onto the medium tyres. And just try and switch it up a little bit. Will those soft tyres last to the end of the race? Big Sam seemed to make them last very well on his initial phase. So there's no reason why they can't. Absolutely. Did you see me barely be able to drive? Yes, I did. I did. And my assumption was there was something catastrophically wrong, and I assume I was right. Because that was not fun even slightly. Good grief. So J-Lane leads the race now from Milo, from Big Sam, from Magico. Tyrrell in 5th, the leading medium runner in this Grand Prix. Dirkleton in 6th, Vulcan in 7th, Pathaman the next medium tyre runner. Maximus in 9th. And, oh dear, Tyrrell has got a 10-second time penalty for a severe collision with Magico. He's got no end plate on the left-hand side. It was a severe collision. I knew it. Safety car in this lap then. Bit of drama out of the way. And now it's visor. Well, they should be down anyway. I don't know why they wouldn't be. But visor down, full focus, and then foot to the floor for the final 7 tours. 6 laps in terms of number value anyway in this Grand Prix. J-Lane will choose when to pull the trigger. And now it's up to him to show the same display of domination that he had before in that earlier phase in the Grand Prix, when it was the intermediate tyres, when he made that strategic call on the inters, when eventually he did get out of there, and that is a blinding restart from J-Lane, and we are back racing again here in Blackout, and we'll see who's got the measure of everybody else. 10 drivers left in this race. Who will come out on top? Safety car there pulls in at about 600 miles an hour. It's Big Sam piling on the pressure immediately on Milo. Through the first 2 corners they go. J-Lane with a comfortable cushion out in front for the time being. Milo in hot pursuit, as is Big Sam, as is Magico. Tyrrell with the front wing damage and the medium tyres is going to be feeling nothing but pure pain in this opening stanza. Vulcan almost sits into the back of J-Lane. It's Maximus versus Pathaman. Round the outside goes Maximus on the softs. That's lovely stuff. Jamie Tarquin thinking he can have a little bit of a chomp on the diffuser. Not to be, but maybe round the outside of the tight right-hander. That would be quite a move. Great respect shown by Pathaman. Maybe too much, but even so, it is a magnificent move from Jamie Tarquin. J-Lane out in front then, Milo second, and Big Sam not too far behind the pair of them. This will be the big battle for the win then, surely. Milo versus J-Lane. Both of whom with about the same amount of battery. Both of whom showcase similar pace in qualifying. One of whom utterly dominated the earlier phase of this race. Excuse me. But 2 of them now, the top contenders for the win of this Grand Prix. Vulcan's up to P6 as Dirkleton's up to P5. Tyrrell is descending at a rapid rate of knots down the order. 3 cars practically line astern between a V-car, McLaren and Aston Martin as they make their way up the hill. Tyrrell's fighting as hard as he can to make his way up the order. Pathaman's kept P9. Jamie Tarquin's had an issue. Magico's had an issue. No, my husband, not like this. Down to P10 he goes. I don't know what happened, whether it was a mistake or contact. Either way, it means Dirkleton's up to P4.
Miracles do happen,
but he has front wing damage of his own. And could that be the reason why? Now Maximus has a great chance of getting into the top 4. The battle for the front 3, though, is still raging on. The first dabble in the DRS for Milo. Thank you for the follow. I'll say who it was. I think it was Mr. Mike Smart. 543. I can say numbers, but thank you very much if that was you. I do thoroughly appreciate it. But we've got a hell of a race on our hands. Through the right-hander, there you go. Both of whom have saved battery very, very well indeed. Big Sam a bit less so, but he's hanging on to the coattails of this battle very nicely indeed. Could it be a change for the lead already? After this safety car restart, I say already, it wasn't that long ago. J-Lane had a gap of almost 15 seconds out in front. DRS flap open for the not the V car, for the McLaren car, but he's not close enough at the moment. Through the first two corners they go. It's a double dosage and deployment of the DRS wing. Again, 4 attempts just not close enough unless he uses a lot of that battery, in which case it would have been. Normally, if you want to do it just slipstream, it's the 3/10 gap is about your safe spot in terms of knowing you can get a move done in that range. It's all getting spicy elsewhere, though. Maximus is within DRS range of Dirkleton. Tyrrell's keeping up with Pathiman for the moment. Pathiman himself is getting up to the back of Maximus on those medium tyres, and perhaps they're starting to come into their own slightly. Through the detection point, that was very, very nip and tuck in terms of whether it was DRS. Was it DRS? No. No, it wasn't DRS. 3-car train. Not the longest we've ever seen in Blackout. We have seen much hungrier Caterpillars in time. However, this one could be the fruitiest of the lot. Milo closer than he's ever been with that DRS flap. And he is using battery this time. He is going to go for it. I wouldn't waste your breath on it, J-Lane. I'd let him use his battery. There's plenty of time still to go. But for now, we might have a new leader of the Bahrain Grand Prix. No, we won't. J-Lane's going to fight the cause out. Keeps the lead of the Grand Prix. And actually keeps well in front of Milo for the time being. Although a second dose of the DRS will be the McLaren man's to deploy. No, not to be. J-Lane's defended that expertly well. The two of them breaking away from big swimmer behind. And there is not a lot to say other than it is going to be a dynamic duel to the end of the race. Thank you to whoever's followed me. I love and appreciate you. Like I say, I'll go through the thank yous once I've finished this race. I've got a lot to do right now, but thank you so much. The gap up at the front then, almost over a second. As Milo almost drops out. In fact, does drop briefly out of DRS range, but the detection point, crucially, was still within that window. Maximus has made his way up into P4 while all of that has happened. Pathiman now the closest challenger to getting a P5 result. Stark proclaimed him as pretty pacey round Bahrain, and he is showcasing that today. Surely by the main straight, he will get it done and dusted. Magico, something terrible's happened to him and Jamie Tarquin. Well, Jamie Tarquin's pit. Magico, something terrible's happened to him. I can only assume it's front wing damage, or he's driving really slowly. I'll check in a moment, because it could be another swapperoo for the lead of the Grand Prix. Milo is closing and closing all the while with 3 tours to go with the Bahrain Grand Prix track. But not to be at the moment. Just biding his time and saving his battery. J-Lane hasn't got a lot of it left, so if that's ever intel that Milo needed, then it's intel I will provide. Because it's true, J-Lane does not have a lot of battery. Milo deliberately breaking the slipstream to ward off the idea that he's actually a threat to J-Lane. Cunning and intelligence allows him to save that battery just a little bit more. But J-Lane could get onto that. He is privy to a bit of tactics. Magico's going very slowly here. He's definitely not at full speed. He can go higher than 5th gear into the final corner. It could spell the end of Magico's race in this Bahrain Grand Prix. But no, he will soldier on. It's not like he's not got enough fuel. He definitely does. Go on, my husband. Finish the race like a true warrior. You've got this. Still about equal battery. Big Sam's consolidated P3 in this race. Surely, I was absolutely right. Pathiman's got past Dirkleton with the helping hand of DRS. And now just has to try and get away. Although Dirkleton, I will admit, doing extremely well to keep up. Despite the limitations of the aerodynamic imbalance that he has on his car. It's all to play for. Milo, though, not waiting around again here. No ERS used by either of them. J-Lane has that inside line, and he's going to defend it fairly and squarely. Out of turn number 2. 2 tours of the Bahrain Grand Prix track to go. Milo closer than he's ever been, excuse me. Looks to go down the inside and throw J-Lane off kilter. It has not happened. It has not happened. It's all going to be about saving battery between these two now. Dirkleton's got back past Pathiman, meanwhile. Late braking round the outside. Tell you what, even with the aerodynamic prowess of I don't even know. A dinghy, I guess. That's about as good as it gets for him. However, despite that, he's done extremely well there to get round the outside and keep P5 for the time being. No penalties at all this race, can I just say? 0. Well, Tyrrell had one earlier. It was a 10-seconder, but he's got rid of it now, which is good news. No penalties at all. That'll be a first. A blackout race with absolutely 0 penalties in it. It is a duel to the end, though. The duel in the desert. Once upon a time, a decade ago, it was Hamilton versus Rosberg. It was 2 teammates tussling for the win. Today, though, it's J-Lane and Milo. Milo going for 2 in a row. J-Lane going for the win, where he won it on the track in Saudi Arabia, and it did not happen for him. Now is his best chance yet, though, and he's got a decent gap into turn number 1. Milo will they have about the same amount of battery, actually. If it's a good exit for J-Lane, he could hold this here. 4/10 the gap. He has to deploy everything he's got. Defend the inside as much as he can. Milo's tried to go for it. Forces J-Lane to defend. It's great racecraft. J-Lane with a slide. Milo's going to try and go around the outside. It's wonderful racing between the pair of them for the win in this Bahrain Grand Prix. There goes my penalty shout. Milo feints it to the inside. He has one final chance in this Grand Prix, but a slide out of the right-handed hairpin. Could that be the safety blanket that J-Lane needs? A yellow flag as Magico gets well out of the way. It actually restricts Milo's overtaking opportunity. It means J-Lane can keep the lead into the left-hander. And this could be it. Just 1 and a bit straights to go. Milo's using everything he's got. He does this all the time. Uses everything. Piles on the ERS. J-Lane has more of it. Breaks the DRS slipstream. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But he's surely done enough. J-Lane won it on the track in Saudi Arabia. It's pure beauty in Bahrain. Across the line, he wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. And that was a deserving drive of a victory. What a wonderful display from the V-Carb driver. Drives almost don't get better. Everything went his way at the start of the race. The wet weather pace was excellent. He called the pit lane time, the pit stop timing to absolute perfection. He got a 15-second gap out in front, and even when the safety car tried to thwart his plans, he said not today. The King of Bahrain, a rise to acclaim him. J-Lane takes his first win of the season. And in the Twitch chat, just a customary Codemasters, woo! Because that is actually a voice clip. At least it's not peanut butter jelly time, or I'd throw myself out the window. I'm on the ground floor, never mind. We have only 1 car left to go before this race comes to a halt. It's Jamie Tarquin, weaving like he's won the wooden spoon, and that's because he has, a pirouette across the line. It is unfortunately only half executed, and with the return of Strictly, I was going to say it's a 5. However, if you take Craig's ratings into account, it's about a 1.5. And that's rather unfortunate. Congratulations to the top 3 as a whole. Big Sam, by the way, got a podium. I completely missed it because J-Lane just drove an absolutely wonderful race. Milo, credit to him as well, piled on the pressure all the way to the last moments. It was millimetrically fought between 2 maestros of the Blackout grid. But in the end, there can only be 1 winner. And taking top honours and crowning himself as royalty here in Sakir, it's J-Lane. It's a win for Visa Cash App. Their contactless methods have been scrutinised in the past, but they have worked here today. An awkwardly long handshake again, but a trophy to rise it up into the heavens. There's all the celebrations happening in the Twitch chat. Congratulations to all 3 of the podium men. It was an unbelievable race to watch. Absolutely awesome stuff. J-Lane with the win. Milo pushing him to the very last. Big Sam with a beautiful podium. Fairy tales don't come much more fruitious than that. Your race results then. Oh my god, we can actually see them. J-Lane takes the win here in Blackout. Miller with fastest lap in P2 was a consolation, but he probably would feel it could have been more. But even so, what a show you two put on. Big Swimmer, congratulations on your podium for Aston Martin. Mr. Terziak's going to be very happy with that. Maximus P4, Vulcan ended up 5th, Dirkleton 6th, Pathiman 7th, Tyrrell in 8th, Alpine next door to each other in solidarity, Jamie Tarquin, Magico in 10th, with Pretender and Buck 57 DNFing, and fail. Well, they fail to score points. I can hardly speak after that. I am absolutely frazzled and dazzled in the glitz and glamour that was that Blackout week. That was bloody unbelievable. Can hardly believe it. My mouth is moving. I don't know. My mouth is moving just about as much as my character on the screen now. It's unbelievable. It's times like this where I have to say I absolutely adore what I do. Because you get races like that, and it's all absolutely worth it. It does cost your esophagus and your vocal box, yes. But equally, who cares? You cannot do better. You simply cannot give more. Blackout Racing League, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever needed an example of just how glorious it is, then this week is it. There we go. Nice. Thank you, Pathiman. I appreciate it. See you next week, lad. Good job this week. Pretender, thank you so much, man. Hopefully it works out for you next week and there aren't any force feedback gremlins ailing your charge. They will be fixed and you will be up there in the big time. Stark says it's peanut butter. For God's sake. Honestly, I don't know why I put it out there into the universe because it comes back to haunt me, really, doesn't it? Pretender said the force feedback issues happened in quali at Jeddah, I know that much. Kept happening in the race and then happened again in Bahrain. I'll tell you what, the fact you finished the race in Saudi Arabia and finished it relatively well, despite the force feedback issues, I applaud you for, mate. I absolutely commend you for, because that was an unbelievable job. Whew, and breathe, ladies and gentlemen. That's quite something, isn't it? My God, I've just realised my phone's on 3% and that's what I use to read my Twitch chat. That's not ideal. It's not ideal. I need my electronic box. How am I going to socialise? How does anyone socialise without their electronic box? I don't know, probably just go outside or something like that. But what is going outside anymore? Oh, I've just unplugged my monitor. Nice, I can't see anything. Well, you can see at least, so that's fine. You're very welcome, Mr. Pretender, no problem. You were not pretending that race. There were genuine force feedback issues. And we'll leave it at that, really, won't we? What songs am I going to choose? It's bad news, ladies and gentlemen. I usually use Spotify to play my non-copyright tunes, and even then some of them are copyrighted. So I can't really win. But I found a workaround, because my Spotify's not really working at the moment. Instead, I'm using my Sony Movie Studio Platinum timeline. Which means I can do all of the fading out and fading in that I want to do, and put whatever track I want in whatever order. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? I am a genius sometimes. Within limits. I do my best anyway. Right. Just to recap the kind of day that we've had, because it was just bloody amazing. So basically, what is it? I don't even know. I don't even know what I'm saying. Saudi Arabia was pretty crazy for a lot of it. We had a lot of DRS training. There was crashes. There was drama. It was dazzling. It was delightful and sometimes disastrous, especially if your name's Slam or Maximus. In fact, if it was a Kick Sauber, it's a race to forget Saudi Arabia. But in the end, while J-Lane crossed the line first after a commendable drive around the streets of the Jeddah Corniche circuit, it was Mr. Milo that kept his nose clean, kept away from all of the squabbles, drove very well, and in the end, he reaped the rewards and took the first win of the evening. And then we entered to Bahrain, a manufactured wet-to-dry race, but it did not disappoint. It was J-Lane on pole position. Tirick got pole position in Saudi Arabia and I was absolutely certain. And Tirick has just activated my Siri. What is going on? Anyway. Sam says, wub you too, man. Great driving from you. Absolutely wonderful. The fairy tales continue. It was Magico's podium in F2 last week. This week, it was... Well, Milo's first... Lots of manipulation this... Well. Listen, from my perspective, it was a lovely race to watch. It was bloody brilliant. And I'll give Dirk his flowers as well while he's here. With the front wing damage, put on a damn good show and did some great battling with Pathiman. Round the outside of turn number 4 or 3, or whatever they call it anymore. Who knows what a corner is, according to their track map. But I saw it, and it was great racing. So well done. It was fun. I was part of the manipulation. Nice. I like it. Just how we like it in Blackout. Gave up a position to get all 6th places. P5 was manipulated. Oh, no. Oh, no. Here we go. Oh, I see. Because the Visa Cash App car finished 5th. Vulcan, by the way, finished 5th. Well done. But the sister Red Bull team finished 5th. And the Red Bull man helped him finish there. I know. You all thought it was a conspiracy. There is no such thing as coincidence in the Blackout Racing League. Probably. Bahrain was just a mad race, though. J-Lane dominated. Called the strategy absolutely right. Pathiman and Magico followed suit. We're starting a conspiracy thing. We're going down the big black hole. Right, and with that, I'm leaving. Goodbye. That was not the way I wanted to put it. Iceberg, there we go. The league is like the Titanic. Luxurious, you mean, and not crashing and sinking into an iceberg. Because I think today was bloody brilliant. Never sinking in a million years. Blackout remains undefeated. But, yeah. Bahrain was just bloody brilliant, basically. I don't have much to add other than that. Great battling, great racing, moments of drama. There was robust moments. Dirk says, I need a teammate, Jamie left. Join me. My next question was about to be, are you asking? It turns out you are asking. My only answer is maybe. At the moment, I'm very much enjoying commentary. And I did initially kind of say that if I was ever going to rejoin, it would probably be next season. But, I don't know. I'll leave the door open. I'm never going to eliminate the possibility of me returning in the near future. But for now, I'm enjoying my commentary. Never say never, though. But anyway. What can you do? If Tim starts to get smug, we'll really... I need to actually... Oh, God, if I do that, then I really need to start playing F1 24 on a wheel. Because it's been a minute. Although, if I'm being honest, I don't think Thanasi was genuinely obliterating people last week when he was here. Like, I don't know if Tim's going to be a massively smug one. Because he was completely out of this world quick, Thanasi. And he normally is, but it was ridiculous. He qualified on pole in Singapore like 1 point however many seconds quicker than everyone else. Which is mad. Tim and TVT is the real chat. Oh, yeah. No, it is. Thanasi and Tim battling. Get all of the popcorn just ever out. Season 13 or 12, I'd like to... No way. You're kidding. No way do you have 20 report. I remember the first season of Blackout I did, and we went to Netherlands. And... Tim, oh, God. The debrief of that turn 1 thing. And the Spa chicane as well. That was an interesting one. I just remember Dan Gilligan getting rather het up about it. It was... The insanity unfolding was rather... It was quite amusing, let's put it that way. I'm going to stop waffling, though. I'm going to stop waffling. Hang on. Stark said, when I used to steward and admin another league, we had... Oh, what? 80? What, an average of 4 per driver? How have they managed that? No, man. No, you're kidding me. We had... Oh, I see. You had multiple divisions. Oh, it makes sense. Okay. I was going to say, if that was just for one division and you got 80 reports, that would be madness. 7 divisions. Oh, fair point. But, okay, well, even so. 80 is a lot, though. FRS are whining. One division had 21. Okay, yeah, that's more than 1 per driver on average. Raced once in a mixed car race. FRS. I feel like I've heard of FRS, or is that just me? Why do I feel like I'm familiar with FRS? Letting a car by around the outside, but I noticed she was faster. Well, there you go. FRS is still going on. That's why. Oh, I found Millo's YouTube channel, because he did FRS, and he did live streaming 2 years ago. We might watch a Millo 2 years ago live stream. Was this on F122? Oh, no, it was on F122. I feel for him. Actual race. Right, lads, are you ready? We're going to watch Millo driving on lap number 7. He's in pursuit of Stark, the 2 Mercedes boys. Here we go. FRS is paused at the moment. Oh, but not looking very likely. I see. Fair enough. There's FRS Raptor. That's why I was really familiar about it. I was like, I've seen an FRS recently. Oh, God, who remembers this chicane at Spain? That's horrible. Is that high quality? Mate, Millo's hardly even holding the wheel. Look at him go. Look at the Blackout Gaming logo. What a legend. Look at that in his face cam. Into turn 1 we go. I remember 50% Spain fondly. I won. I loved that race. It was also a massive sweat fest. Love it in GT. Yeah, GT cars the chicane works very well for. I will admit. Blackbird singing in the dead of P15 because he's bad. He might not be bad, I don't know. See how he holds on to the coattails of Millo. FRS in Season 3 was genuinely great. I'll have to watch it. This is Season 6. There you go. Oh, someone's died. Oh, never mind. It was Hero just getting out of the way. That's why.
Did lose a couple of seconds lapping those cars, but...
Millo and Stark going for it. The Mercedes men.
Yep.
Blackout used to be... I wouldn't change anything about Blackout. I love it to bits. Look at that legend. Through the chicane he goes. Why does he not live stream? He still has the FGT. I have the FGT, although I'm debating buying that new Playseat Formula Instinct one. And not because it's new and because I want to, like, be obnoxious, but because my FGT's pedal plate is genuinely broken. Like, the actual hinges of the pedal plate on the sides and whatnot have almost... Well, they've split halfway down, and maybe even a bit more. So, braking, I've had to actually use... Because I had to buy a spare... Well, a new Fanatec CSL DD motor, because the other one basically wouldn't get out of factory settings and recognise my Xbox at all. And it was impossible to reset it on the PC using the Fanatec software. So I bought a new one, and I've got the other one there. I still haven't got around to fixing it yet, but I will when the time comes. That was before Season 15 happened. But I have to now use the old box with the motor still in it. I've got the old box of the old motor I have. I've put some pieces of paper underneath to wedge it up. And that's essentially the only thing that's given my pedal plate any rigidity. Not a great idea. The box has seen better days, but it works for now. And I do actually need to replace the seat badly. I was going to get another FGT, but, you know, I didn't do that. So what can you do? Anyway, back onto the standby screen because Dirkleton has sent me something. This was season... I know! I remember seeing Tiamat Marduk in a Blackout Racing League. I remember those days. That was F1 2021, I'm tempted to say. Am I right? I think it's F1 2021, that one. 2020. Ah, that makes sense. Because he took a break from league racing for a while, and I think this was like one of his first forays back into it. Was this when Zay was in it as well? Because Zay was rapid on F1 2020. Like, completely rapid. Yeah, okay. That's pretty good. In Australia, TM at Marduk overtook ya. Tell you what, if there's ever a claim to fame that you needed, then there's that. I now commentate on him occasionally. It's pretty wild, isn't it? Oh. The whole classic Ben. Classic Ben. Right. Here we are then. I have got it. Fail to determine... Oh, no, you didn't fail to determine it, though, did you? I'm going to have to go and watch my own stream. Ah, it's annoying. 5 of you still here. Hello, people. How are we doing? Dirk, would you mind posting the link again so I can actually click it? Actually, no. Wait. No, I can just click this. I'm an idiot. There we go. Never mind. Don't bother. But thank you if you did anyway. Thank you. Right. Oh. There he is. Right, okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Blackout is massive because Tiamat Marduk was in it. Here's a...
Guns up, 5 red lights, and we are...
This is F1 2020. It's very old
bad
setup.
Start for a lot of people. I got rear-ended by the Ferrari. We're going
Who just punted him?
Start for a lot of people.
PND. PND absolutely punted him. He's bump drafting Zay. In exist on the inside. Back Rose on the inside. It's 3 wide into the chicane. How have they got through there safely? Oh, they've killed each other. Guardians in P3. Lucky. What a time that is. Milo in P5. Ladies and gentlemen, what a time. What a time that was. Good grief. Well, that is a fun one. Oh, established contemplation. Cheap viewers on Kerberos.express.xi0i. Well, with a name like established contemplation, I have certified thinkings that nothing can go wrong. Well, that's quite cool, that. Thinks that FRS had 2 groups of people, it's nearly impossible to please everyone. Oh. Oh, well, what can you do? Haringzord. I'll look at the Haringzord ones sometime. I was going to say, I knew I saw FRS somewhere recently. As Pathiman says, it's because of FRS Raptor, but there you go. The more that you know. Back Rose clipped it. What a day. There you go. See if there's any other clips I can find of F1 2020. Hush. Thank you. Right. Let me see. Last year. I want like 2 or 3 years ago. Easily. That's F1 Manager. Don't want that. That's F1 2021. F1 2020. This must be... Have I found another one? Yes! I found another one! You know what? Some things never change. Honestly, some things never change because Tiamat Marduk has a 3-second... In fact, everybody has 3-second time penalties. You can't really... Oh, God's sake. You can't really go wrong. Through the hairpin we go. Benjamin getting the power down, using a bit of the overtake. I do miss F1 2020. What a game.
Come on.
What a game. He's going for it on lap number 36. Thinking about going down the inside. Space left by Zay. Uses the momentum round the outside. He gets it briefly. Although, what an exit from Benjamin Marmaduke. Round the outside on the medium tyres. What a move that is. But he's still got to get it done. Exceeds track limits. Holding it round the out. What racing between these two, can I just say?
Oh my God!
I definitely did watch this, but what a move that is. Trying to go down the inside at the penultimate corner. Chops it off. Tiamat Marduk has done a worldie there. He's won the Austrian Grand Prix.
No!
3 seconds. No! Never mind. After all of that. After all of that.
Are you...
After all of that, listen, there's no complaining to be had. You exceeded track limits. Oh, no. Oh, that's terrible news. Deary me. He tried to get that removed. Oh, fair enough. Oh, he did win then. Oh, there you go. That's wonderful. Right. Whew. We have been down memory lane. I will open that up as well, actually, and I'll have a look at it after this. Where is it? T1. Oh, no. It's a YouTube link as well. There we go. That's copyright. I can't play that, but I'll watch it. There is royal blood. But T1 is the same. Oh, I see. Fair enough. Okay, cool. That's all good. Damn. Well, that's a big Blackout Racing League thing that we've just done. What a time. Before Milo and Buck 20 were regular teammates as well. Wow. What a time that is. But that will do it. That will do it very much so for the Blackout Racing Series. What a race week it has been. I hope you all enjoyed it just as much as I did. Thank you all very, very much for watching, for listening along, whatever way you consume this medium. I am very, very grateful indeed. A big congratulations to all the drivers for putting on one hell of a show, and a big well done to them as well. That was absolutely unbelievable from all of them. Next week, I'll send you the most memorable F1 clip ever. I am so ready, my friend. I am very ready for it. But that will be next week. That will be next week. But until then, I shall bid you all adieu. I don't even know what I'm saying, but there we go. Good night. Thank you, Dirkleton. You are most welcome. Thank you for tuning in, my friend. Well raced today. Well raced to all the drivers. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day whenever you're watching this, whether it's here on Twitch or whether it's later on a YouTube, on an internet. Thank you very much. And what a week it's been. What a wonderful week. If you did enjoy, consider giving me a follow on Twitch if you haven't already. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's called KarlsCars. One word. Cars with a C. Carl with a K. All one word. Go and subscribe. All of my Blackout commentaries ever are on there in a playlist called Commentary, unsurprisingly. If you want to catch not only this week and replay all of the wonderful memories, but also marvel in the majesty of last week as well, you can do that there. Where we were at... I can't even remember where we were. Where were we? Gives me an excuse to check where we're going next, though. Austria and Singapore, of course it is. My mind's been frazzled. It's Spa and Silverstone next week. That's going to be very fun. Spa and Silverstone. You'd all better be ready for it. Spa, of course, a sprint race. Silverstone seems to always provide a special piece of magic without fail. But that is all next week. Until then, like I say, make sure you follow all of my socials. My Instagram, ladies and gentlemen, is on a screen here, as well as my Twitter, although I use Instagram and Threads a lot more at the moment, as well as post on YouTube. So go there if you want to experience all of the goings-on in my life. A huge thank you to Blackout for allowing me to commentate. Like I say, I owe them an insane amount. Truly, I'm infinitely grateful. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for them. If they hadn't given me the chance, I wouldn't be doing my football stuff. I wouldn't be doing my Creator Series stuff. So, I love them all absolutely to bits. So, thank you, Blackout. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I don't know what else to say. Other than that, it's been an absolute blast commentating this one. As always, though, once again, I thank you for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, go and follow Magico. He made all of these wonderful graphics. He's RD Magico on Twitch. Jay Lane's got highlights of previous Blackout things. Milo's BSE Milo, if you want to go and watch other highlights and whatnot of Blackout from previous seasons. They're all there. And I think I've covered absolutely everything now. Until next time, though, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And goodbye.
Bye.